Welcome to Jack and Jockeys with Justin
And me.
and very special guest,
Claude's back.
Claude's back. Oh,
And an extra bonus guest.
one more time for special guest appearance.
Can't get rid of me that easy.
I know, there's such continuity. It's amazing. We are here to discuss MGM Plus's acclaimed mystery horror drama series From. This will be covering season 3, episode 9, entitled Revelations, Chapter 1.
So I've already got a complaint here.
Revelations comma or Revelations colon?
I wrote comma. I thought it said comma. Did it not say comma?
My TV says colon.
I swear Amazon said comma. Am I wrong?
Well, my gripe is that presumably this is a reference to the Revelation, right? The Book of Revelation. I mean, usually when TV shows and movies and whatnot do that, but that is singular, so that's my complaint. But maybe it's not really intended to be
true. It was a single revelation, no matter what.
What was
Yeah. Google thinks it's colon. So I guess it's
well,
colon.
we're right off the bat with some really important insights.
Yeah, no, you get your punctuation right. It's important. Okay? People don't take punctuation seriously enough these days.
Yeah, I agree that I think the title is referencing the Bible, but and promising more. You know, a plural. There's more than one revelation. So take that Bible.
Take that Bible. Ouch.
Above and beyond.
Although, here's a question: was anything revealed?
It's a good question. Maybe.
Well, the voices revealed to Sarah about the peril Fatima is in. That's something.
Okay, you know what? I got a wrinkle in punctuation gate. Because on the MGM Plus website, it is listed as comma. Revelations, chapter 1. So
well, wow. I don't know if we can continue with this until we get the truth.
We have to call Mr. MGM himself and get him on the phone and
the lion? The lion?
Yes.
Lions can't
Mr.
use
MGM
phones.
is a lion.
They don't
He's
have
a talking
thumbs.
lion.
I mean, look,
he knows how to get Hollywood moving and shaking without thumbs.
It's chapter 1, okay? So maybe all the revelations didn't happen in chapter 1.
I agree,
maybe they're coming in chapter 2.
I think there was a few things that were revealed. So, we can get into them as they go.
Yeah. So overall, what did you think of this?
What are your general and specific thoughts?
I was watching this episode and I thought it was slower than I expected. I thought, the second to last episode, I thought might have a little bit more action. So one of my thoughts watching this was like, I really want to rewatch the whole show because I felt like this season the writing has been not what I expected. It's been a bit slower than I expected in times and more disjointed at times than I expected. But I'm like, is that just my memory or has it been like this before? So I don't know. I guess I'm a little underwhelmed at this point. I'm surprised that Fatima's baby is the big event of the season. Clearly, I did not think that was true when the season started. I didn't think it was all going to be about the baby giving birth to the baby in the finale. I thought something was going to be more complicated before that, but it was really long and drawn out of just her having this like baby pregnancy part was more drawn out than I expected. I like the Jade stuff is interesting. He's one of my favorite characters because he's trying to figure things out. The Julie stuff is interesting. The Tabitha stuff, we got a brand new. The thing about this show is they just keep inventing new things. So now she can have flashback memories from other people that's not her. She can
Yeah.
get other people's memories from touching or from being in a certain location. So that's brand new. I mean, she's been through a lot already, and now they're gonna just throw this as something new that's happening. Victor says, or the boy in white told Victor, things are changing. So I'm not sure if, that she's getting these visions and stuff because things are changing.
That's an
Yeah,
interesting
but
thought.
yeah, but and it seems pretty clear there's factions, because you have the Ankui kids who seem to maybe be not on the same page with the boy in white.
Yeah.
And then you've got the kimono lady who's doesn't seem to be on the same page exactly. I don't. It was almost like the Akui kids were sending Tabitha to find Fatima,
Yeah.
and but she was being held down and quiet by the kimono
Yeah.
lady. So it seems like they're not on the same side. I
Yeah.
don't know. Or was the Akui kids just trying to get Tabitha to have the flashback, related to the Victor's mother, who is related to the journey of saving the kids. I don't know. I'm a
Yeah,
little
I
over some
wondered
of those
that as
plot lines
well.
because it's like boy in white. It's so funny because he started out with he said well, like I'm trying to help y'all, but like I told Christopher everything and it didn't work out. So y'all just have to figure it out for yourself. I'm like, when did you come to that idea? Because earlier this season you were invested and then you gave up. So did you give up because you changed your mind and said, "Oh, they just got to figure out themselves"? Because when you told Christopher all that stuff, that was like 30, 40 years ago. So
Yeah. Yeah, that felt like a cop out to me.
yeah.
Yeah, I felt like it was a Jacob moment, like trying to
Mhm.
explain like why he's not getting more involved than he is if he knows all this stuff,
Mhm.
Just
But
it's a
not
bit of
telling the
a
person who needs to know, right? Not coming to
yeah.
Tabitha and telling her, I did that, but once I saw you did whatever, I was like, this isn't gonna work. Let me just let them figure it out. But it's also
But
like,
of course
but
he
don't we have
also
pressure?
pushed Tabitha out the
Yeah.
tower,
But isn't
so
there a time pressure that he's at least intimating so it's like, shouldn't they be figuring things out quicker? I don't know. Like, I think they need
right.
your
And
help,
is
bro.
it is the
They
the
do.
changing that's happening that he references, is that to do with
Mm-hmm.
Fatima's baby, or we've
Mm-hmm.
already talked a lot this season about the season changes, and so there were already changes afoot, but is he talking about something more specific? I also thought that line
Mm-hmm.
was pretty funny because, of course, it's the same actor, so he looks older, and so it's kind of a way of
Mm-hmm.
explaining
His
in the
voice is
world
deeper too.
why that kid
Mm-hmm.
is older. Yeah, I have said so many times about this show that one of my fears or like predictions is that it's just going to keep introducing new things instead of like
Mm-hmm.
going deeper with what they have. That didn't really bother me so much in this episode, but we did have the monsters showed back up for the first time in a while. We had the lady in the kimono, we had the boy in white, the Sarah's visions are back, or her
Mm-hmm.
the voices. We had the cicadas. We had Christopher, a vision of Christopher sitting on the roof of the porch, which I don't even know. Like, does Jade know who that is? I guess from the Polaroid.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
He
And I'm
knows
not sure. Oh, go ahead.
he knows that he knows that what am I trying to say? He knows that uh that he had that ventriloquist dummy, so
okay.
I feel like he did know
Got
who
it.
it was.
So we got the all along or not all along, but for a while now we've been balancing these tensions between like the Ankui kids versus the boy in white, both children, and then this whole like saving the children in the tower,
Which they're still
which
not talking about.
they're still not talking about. And then the lady in the kimono and Fatima's pregnancy, that that's also about children. This thing from the boy in white said to Christopher that this began with the children being killed
Mm-hmm.
by people they trusted. Yeah, yeah. I guess I don't really have anything. I'm not going anywhere with that, but just like still a lot of unknowns in
Mm-hmm.
these. To your point about factions. Um, but yeah, I thought that this was
Yeah.
an interesting episode. I agree it was not like on Lost, the penultimate episode of the season was really packed. And this didn't seem that packed. It's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
like personal stuff, as it
Yeah.
has been this season. A lot of like character stuff.
There's a lot of pairing off and
Having all
very
these
Yeah.
overdue
And a lot of
conversations.
characters going through unique traumas and also not talking to people about it, I mean, you've
definitely.
got Randall in his own world doing he's got two other people who went through what he went through mostly. He did go through that second, that other attack from the monsters directly. But like he's not reaching out, Marielle's not really talking. Julie's sort of trying to investigate, but she's doing it on her own.
And
She
she's
thought
being vague about everything.
she thought she had a dream. Oh, Julie. Oh, that's why you ain't got that learner's permit, because you still learning, girl. Um,
Did
but
she think she had a dream? I thought that was a
she
lie, and
said,
she revealed that later.
well, I think she revealed it later because she realized it wasn't a dream. I think when she said it, she did think it was a dream. Um,
Yeah.
I really
I
didn't think
thought
that, but
I
I
thought
can't really prove
that
it one way or the other, so it's
yeah.
it's fine. Either way, I think. At some
yeah.
point she realizes it's not a dream, whether it was earlier or later.
I
Yeah,
get the
yeah, yeah.
impression
Maybe it
that
was
she
self-delusion.
Yeah,
yeah.
sure. I could buy that. I could buy that. But yeah, because like but then yeah. I definitely got annoyed multiple times this episode by the vagueness, and I definitely had lost flashbacks of like people making these pronouncements, or either making grand pronouncements like this will save us all, or
Mm-hmm.
or describing events that we saw on screen but in such a vague way as to be completely useless.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's like, what good does that do? Like, you didn't say anything. Like, what, like, are you actually going to talk about what happened or not? It's just, I don't know. Yeah, I think that was my
Classic.
frustration. Like, I wanted like follow up on the details, and that
Yeah,
like we got follow up on the generic aspect, and
Yeah.
that was the thing on Lost that bothered me too.
yeah.
So, I mean, I've been there before, but yeah, I definitely wanted there were some interesting elements, and I think there's potential that it could go somewhere. But yeah, it definitely wasn't the most reveal filled episode for an episode called Revelations.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Uh, I don't know if I've mentioned this before. I don't think I have, but or probably off podcast. My theory on the title of the show, where the title comes from, to coin a phrase,
Comes
is
from.
I know comes from. I've been for a while thinking that it has, that it'll make sense within some context of a phrase. And the phrase that I'm leaning towards now is something like, someone's gonna say one day, what is this place? And then someone's gonna say, or the boy in white, or somebody's gonna say, this is where nightmares come from. So
Mm.
that's my idea. And to one small pillar of support for that idea is the fact that not only are there nightmares everywhere, but the monsters, if I'm not mistaken, are credited as nightmare creatures dash whatever uniform they're wearing. So like in this episode, the nurse was nightmare creature nurse.
Interesting.
So anyway, just put that
Oh, okay.
little put a pin in that for
I
later.
like
If
it.
yeah.
I like it. I'll take
So
it.
instead of a place where dreams come from, it's a place where nightmares come from.
Yeah. Well, if it's apt. Justin, did you want to start us off with your checklist?
Could do. Yeah, we ready to dive in?
I
Shall
think
I get my
we
notes?
should. Yeah, I think
All
that's
right.
just the pearl of wisdom to launch
I've
us
got my swimming trunks on. I'm ready to dive in.
in.
Okay, good. Um, all right. Well, so my weekly check-in, do they mention the boy in white? Yes, they do, technically.
So much more.
Not in the context I wanted. The reason why I brought this up was the lighthouse thing, which wasn't remotely
What an
addressed.
artifact.
So I feel like this doesn't fulfill why I wanted it, but they did show the boy in white, so I'll admit it. Anyway, the pregnancy test, I've come to believe that's irrelevant. I will probably not mention that again because she is pregnant. So it doesn't
Pregnant with something.
that whole issue of like, is she pregnant or not? Like the answer is yes. It's just clearly like some supernatural crazy thing. So I guess that's
Yeah.
why the test was positive, and I'm ready to move on from the pregnancy test. Um the blood eating. Does anyone know about the blood eating? I mean, they definitely addressed it. They showed her drinking the blood from the jar.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the others don't know about it still.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that what's about to happen is so crazy that it probably won't even matter
Yeah.
by the time we get to like the reveal of whatever's happening. I just have a feeling no one's even gonna care. Like, oh, were you like eating blood before? Like, I just can't imagine that being a thing. So I'll probably stop asking about that too.
Wow.
But the last thing was the bracelet that was in Henry's car. I'm still obsessed with it. It still didn't come up. And so I'm not letting that one go. I'm going to ask about that next week too if they don't talk about it. Henry's off doing stuff in this episode, but he didn't.
Yeah.
There's and so is Tabitha, but there is no discussion.
He is a salty guy. And he's also he adapted to this place faster than anybody else who gets, who finds themselves here. He does not go through any kind of period of like, oh, we got to figure out how we ended up here, or like, he just like settles immediately into. Anyway,
I think that's fair, but I think it's because he's got unique information, right? He spent all decades wondering where they were. Then the woman shows up on his doorstep, tells him, he had his freak out outside of the From world,
Yeah.
And then so when he showed up, obviously he didn't know the sort of horrors that were going on there in detail, but yeah, I think he showed up just willing to accept that this wasn't a normal place, versus Acosta, or Copsta, excuse me, is still gonna take some while before she gets ramped up. And speaking of a character nobody likes, man, she's still. I feel bad for that actress because the writers aren't doing her any favors. They're not giving her any reason for people to like her.
Yeah.
And she's the deck stacked against her, coming in late, being not really being on the team, anybody's team. So yeah, it's tough for her.
Yeah.
And then, we'll talk about it, but I just want to say real quick that when she was gonna pull her gun out on Victor, and it's like, okay,
it's not, we all
but
look, babe,
also
we know
you don't
it
have
is
any
not
bullets
loaded.
in that gun.
Yes.
So,
I feel like they wanted
that
us to
was
forget
so
that.
irritating.
Yeah,
she sucks ass. I hate her so much. The one thing that I feel like needs to go on your checklist is the bottle tree, because we keep getting references to the bottle tree, but not. There's still some things like I want 10 minutes with Henry to just ask some questions about that original bottle tree. And he brought it up this time, but he didn't say anything.
Only in passing.
Yeah.
That's one of many examples of characters technically saying something that had the potential to be interesting, but just wasn't.
Yeah, and it's tough when they say it in a scene where the other character is also interested. So Jade could have been like, "Oh, yeah, your wife made these, right? Do you have any tips? Do you remember how she did it? Was there any process she used?" Like
When you
just
dropped
something.
acid at that tree, had she already turned it into a bottle tree?
Yeah,
This is a
that's one
question that we
question that's
want to
unanswered.
know.
Another question that was brought up by this episode was like we see Jade rehanging the bottles on a different tree by
Yeah.
some building. I don't even know where that was. Anyway,
I thought it was behind the bar.
was that supposed to be the bar?
I
The
just
bar has two
assumed that though.
stories.
I don't know. I
I
just
don't think
assumed it
that's
was
fine.
behind the bar.
And I agree that made sense, but the way the building looked, it just seemed too big to be the bar to me.
It looks like a farmhouse.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. It looked like the
Okay.
It
farmhouse.
didn't look familiar to me at all.
But I was
Well,
just like, I don't know what place this is. They don't really
Yeah.
say, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But the point I
Yeah.
was gonna make is that like in that earlier episode, and I looked it up, they basically said that they took all the bottles down and they took all the papers out and they were
Yeah.
comparing them. They were talking about the papers from this tree are cursive
Yeah.
and the papers from that tree are print, blibbity blah blah blah, right? And then we see him rehanging them on this new tree, but then they go, Victor goes to the faraway bottle tree, and the bottles are there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
did Jay put them back? Like, what? I don't understand. Like, it was just
I don't
weird.
think my memory was that I thought he said from the main bottle tree, I thought he said they looked at some of the numbers. I didn't think they took every bottle down and got every bit of every number.
Well, we're
I
gonna
didn't
have
think they did
to
that.
go back and roll the tape because I thought he said that he took every single
I did
piece
too.
of
I thought he
down.
said he took
Okay.
every single one.
But regardless, I think that if it's important, the writers will circle back to it.
Yeah.
It's just kind of
It seems like a
like-
waste of time because
Yeah.
we've seen him waste time before, and now I'm thinking the one thing I liked about this tree was it looked like his diagram of the bottle tree that he had been analyzing, where it was more of like it was kind of like I don't want to say a flat tree, but like the branches were kind of more on one side, and the way he had drawn the bottles,
Yeah.
like this tree looks like that image versus the other bottle tree. It's more like branches are 360 and the bottles are everywhere.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know if he has any plan, right? He didn't really say, I've got a hypothesis, And
Yeah.
also, if this tree doesn't have a hollowed out middle part, will hanging the bottles do anything? Like, what is he even trying to do, right? Like,
Well,
unclear.
only one of the two bottle trees was a faraway tree.
yeah. Oh, that's right. Okay, faraway tree is that's what they called it. So,
It is weird though.
Yeah, the Boyd and Sarah
wait, there's
one
two bottle
just-
trees.
Yeah.
One's there's two bottle trees, and out of those two, one is a faraway tree, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's the
Okay,
one that tapped
And are
and
you
went
guys
through.
saying that Jade said he took all the bottles from the bottle tree?
Both.
Both.
And not
from
the-
both of the bottle
I'm sorry,
trees.
I meant from both of the bottle trees. Okay.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
both.
Yeah.
Because
so
he was
I don't
comparing
know.
them. He was talking about the contrast. He said they
I
had the same
do
numbers, but one was in
Yeah, I
cursive,
remember that.
and the other one was
Okay.
like written the numbers.
remember
So
that.
I'm just gonna say, like, deleted scene. He puts the bottles. back.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing that makes the
I-
most sense. I just think it's weird not to say.
I'm gonna put out a
Or he-
prediction.
Or he just, he didn't literally take the bottles down and take the papers out. He just left the bottles, looked at the paper, and put them back, kind of a thing, and just wrote the numbers down that were from the piece of paper.
He took the pieces of paper to the bar, but
Oh,
he
because
could
he did need you're right. He needed the handwriting analysis part, so he did need the pieces
Yeah.
of paper.
But regardless, it's fine.
Okay.
They're also not going to show us the ladder that he used to tie that shit back up there, but that's okay. Anyway, here's my prediction that next episode, the final episode of the season, he is going to figure something significant out. Like,
You
I
mean
think
he's gonna have a
revelation.
Oh.
Colon.
or comma?
Yeah, I think he's gonna crack some kind of code. That's the extent of my prediction.
Okay.
Um.
That's
I wish that were
optimistic
true.
of you.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not so convinced, but it's possible we'll get something. But I think back to the end of season 2 when he goes in the tunnels and he sees the Ankui kids, he sees the altar, he sees the stuff that Victor described basically, and he sees the symbol on the ceiling, and
nothing,
and it led to nothing. Yeah, like it really didn't. There was just no value to that except that we get a visual of this thing that we hear about.
It's interesting that we we have it confirmed in an earlier episode, like last episode or the one before, I guess last episode, that was really just how the roots grew. And so what is the
they put their hope
of...
into the tree, and the tree's roots grew in that design or something like that.
Yeah. So, okay. So did this symbol previously have meaning and they just sort of like manifested that shape in the roots? Is it something protective? It doesn't seem like they're being protected there. But that symbol appeared, I think, first in the roots, to us at least, in the root cellar where Fatima
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
so,
that was where Jade
he
saw
had like
the
a
first
flash
time.
of it, right?
Yeah, he saw that guy in there. And in the cabinet or whatever.
We're never gonna get an explanation.
Wasn't there like a boulder on top of him?
Yeah, we're never gonna hear about that.
Yeah, there's a boulder.
I would have said that before they circled back to Martin, so
yeah.
I don't know. I can't imagine it's that important, but we could get some kind of, brief
I suppose it could.
Whatever. It just comes up in passing, but it's not like, a scene that's about that or something.
That's
possible.
possible.
I will just say, speaking of, Jade climbing the ladder with trying to make this new bottle tree, and then Christopher and the dummy are there. I did really like his response, like, okay, try something new, and then the thing just screamed at him, and I'm like, are you guys just trolling? Like, what's happening here? Were you just appearing to him because he's getting closer? Were you trying to, like, what's even the, and is that even really Christopher? Because to me, it's like, why would Christopher do that? What's in it for him? Like,
I don't know what Christopher's deal is.
Yeah.
I'm still confused.
And I was just gonna say, the next part I was gonna say was that Boy in White told Christopher whatever he needed to know to help him, and it didn't do any good. So, I don't think that whatever these entities are doing is really going to be able to help. I just, at this point, I'm just interested to see why they think they can help. Like, why are you trapped here? Or why did you come back here? Or why can't you leave? Like, what's happening here? Because, especially with the Boy in White, I mean, decades and decades and decades of being this little boy. And it's like, why? And I just, for the first time, realized that his skin is actually white. I didn't really notice that before. That he's, abnormally pale. Or unusually pale, I should say. There's pale people. But he was like, ghostly white. I didn't really notice that before, but they had some close-ups.
I didn't notice that
like,
either.
I didn't notice
he's not just wearing.
Time.
Yeah, if you look at him, his skin's very white, like white makeup on his skin.
Okay.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right.
Let's do it, Justin.
What time is it?
Yeah.
All right. Oh no, did I say dive again? Anyway. All right. Well, we pick up
Splash.
Splash. Here we go, y'all. We pick up where we left off last week with Ellis and Boyd looking for Fatima. She was gone from the shack, and Boyd thinks it's getting dark, but Ellis wants to keep looking, and then Boyd has a Parkinson's episode, and Ellis helps him walk. That's the end of that scene. Obviously, we'll come back to that later. Okay, then we go to Fatima sitting in the root cellar room looking at the jar of blood. Elgin comes in and brings her some things. Fatima says, "Let me go." Elgin says, "You're not a prisoner. This is for your own good." Fatima says she saw the kimono lady and the thing's not good and it made her kill Tilly. But Elgin says it was afraid and she wasn't feeding it. she tries to leave again, but then she has some pains. Elgin wants her to eat so they can, quote, all go home. Elgin makes a tenuous connection that the night she found out she was pregnant, he remembered his dream that, quote, helped save the town. Elgin offers the jar of blood. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just can't with this bullshit. Anyway, Elgin offers the jar of blood. Fatima tries to refuse, but finally gives in, taking the jar and drinking greedily. Yeah, so like
once she breaks the seal and she realizes how good it is.
It was so good. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so
it was bloody good.
No.
That's for our UK listeners out there.
I think that Claude will fully appreciate, and you will appreciate, yikes, somewhat less so, but still, like, this whole, like, idea that Elgin, I guess, really believes that, like, if I help this weird ass kimono, like, it's like, I'd be like, how are we all gonna go home? What are you talking about? Like details, like, seriously, like, why is he going along with this insane plan with, like, only the vaguest of promises that, oh yeah, y'all go home if you help me? Like, okay. I don't know, that bothers me. And then
I mean, it's like Sarah all over again.
This claim that, yeah, it is like Sarah, totally. Which I also, but like we already did this.
At least with Sarah, it was, well, I don't know what I was gonna say exactly right, but I was gonna say at least with Sarah it was more self-directed. It was about her and what she needed to do. I mean, I guess it's the same with Elgin, but it just seems like he's more trusting in this plan than I felt like Sarah was just being driven crazy and having to do certain things.
Yeah,
that's true. He doesn't seem tortured in the same way.
Right,
he actually seems like he really buys into it.
Yeah.
Almost like a bliss has fallen over him, like
the way he talks about it later with Ellis, it shows that he's like fully on board, and like, I don't understand why. And then this claim that, like, his dream, quote, helped save the town. What the fuck are you talking about? You mean those 3 people? I mean, but tons of people have died since then. Like, what? Like, help save the town? Bullshit.
It did, like, stop the cicadas.
It stopped the cicadas, but that didn't save it. I mean, I reject that characterization.
Well, fine.
How did remind me? What did he do to? How did the cicadas get stopped? I thought they.
It was that.
I forgot. There's a lot going on.
It's the nursery rhyme. He remembered the nursery rhyme. They come for 3 unless you stop the melody. And that's what leads Boyd to go destroy the music box. And that's what stopped the trance. And
does he even know that? Does he know that Boyd went and stopped the music box?
I guess he does, because that's what he says. I don't know.
Yeah, that was like the whole plan.
He must. I mean, he must know that they came out of it. And I assume Boyd says something, probably something really vague, but like.
Okay, but just off screen. Okay.
Yeah, I can only assume. Just because the way he's described it.
But this was like last season.
Yeah, but it was the last episode of last season, so I think Boyd doesn't even make it back, or does he? Maybe he makes it back right now. Anyway, whatever.
Not to drill down in another further level for questions we won't ever have answers to, but he does set up this causality here. Like, did you really guys really believe that the kimono lady unlocked his memory? Like, she showed up intentionally to do that, or is he just making, a connection where there really isn't a connection?
It's pretty thin.
Yeah, it seems very, I don't know. It's like, I don't even know if he I don't even know if he fully believes it, or if he's just saying that to try to convince Fatima to stay there,
That's what's unfortunate is so much his planning is happening off screen that we really don't know what he's saying or willing to say to get what he wants.
Because he said Ellis was down there in the last episode, so it's like he's clearly willing to lie and manipulate. And
Yep.
so it's
Yep.
like, and he's vague. He's vague with Ellis too in this episode. Like he's sort of like
Mm-hmm.
trying to reassure him, but it's like, what
Yes.
do you know? Why are you talking like this? What, you're being
Yep.
weird. Like it comes off
Yep.
as suspicious.
Yep.
So yeah, like I agree. I think it did become clear in this episode to me that there were conversations with Kimona Lady off screen where she told him some stuff that we
She
never got to
started with
see.
"Help Me," and
Yeah,
now it's help Fatima produce a baby
yeah,
that is gonna, that needs blood, uh, which I
And
still don't
you'll all get
understand
off the
how
island.
before it needed rotten food and now it needs blood. So I don't
Hmm.
understand. Those are not the same things. And then yeah, how is this gonna help us? And that's what Fatima didn't say, right? When
yeah,
he goes, "Oh, the
yeah,
baby is good. It'll help us leave." And she's how?
yeah,
And then what? And like she should be. First of all, she should be stuck on. Wait a minute. Go back to when you said this wasn't my baby. Like
yeah,
whose is it? And is it the kimono lady's baby? Like,
yeah. That seems like the assumption, but I agree that question
well,
is never addressed.
I guess we'll know if the baby's born wearing a kimono.
Oh God. Kimono baby. All right. Great. Can't wait. Yeah, I don't know where that's going. It's a weird plot. And yeah, it depends on so much vagueness. It does feel like it's on another level from, leave the door open, kill this
Mm-hmm.
boy, like
Mm-hmm.
those are like
Mm-hmm.
simple short actions
Yeah.
that she could do one time and then be done. And this is a whole series of like elaborate tasks that he has to go through to
Yeah.
make this happen. And so yeah, it's like you would think it would raise more questions. I agree. Even Fatima's not asking enough questions here.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we're supposed to believe that Elgin is just bought in because I don't know, she appeared to him, so he just like trusts that for some reason. I don't know. It's weird.
Strange. Strange. And so just the baby thing again. Like, what do you guys think? What are you guys thinking? Like,
Like,
what's
what
gonna
do I
happen
think
when
that
this
baby's
baby's
gonna be?
born? Yeah, what's it gonna do?
Yeah,
It's a
I don't
baby that is
know.
so that wants blood so badly that when it was hungry, it forced her to kill somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what is that birth scene gonna look like? And when the baby comes out, I mean, this is yeah, I don't know where it's going.
It's
Yeah, I don't either. I keep thinking like on Cooey baby
Mm.
or
yeah, I mean, I was thinking that when
like nothing gets born. It just like she transforms, like
Mm-hmm.
a chrysalis or something like she becomes one
Hmm.
of the night monsters or I don't like that
Mm.
answer. I think it sucks. So I hope that's
Mm-hmm.
not it, but you know what I
Sorry,
mean? Like
Elgin, I
nothing
must
gets
go into
born.
the night. I am a night monster now. I
oh
don't belong
God.
to you anymore. I belong to the night.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe it'll be like a sort of, she'll push and they'll expect a baby, and like you said, like maybe nothing will come out, and maybe it'll just be like an energy thing,
Uh-huh.
and then like something within the town will change, or
Yeah.
it'll. Because part of me was just thinking like, I guess there's a small chance that even though the baby seems like it's bad or evil, that maybe it's something that feeds off of death or evil, and maybe that's the theme of what it was eating. Now that I'm just thinking about it, the blood and
Yeah.
Yeah.
then
Rotten
the
stuff.
rotten stuff is
Yeah.
death. So
Yeah.
maybe it feeds off of death, and therefore it's a weapon against this place,
Sure, sure.
or against the monsters.
All
So
right.
maybe somehow it seems bad now, but it'll actually turn out to be good because it's designed to feed off of whatever the bad stuff is. But I love that as like a sci-fi-ish kind of idea, fantasy idea. But like this doesn't seem like the kind of place that's going to produce anything that helps them. So
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people believe that. Yeah, last week I think I mentioned that I had the idea of making a connection between the baby and the Ankui kids because when Victor tells his story, he says they were born in the dark.
Yeah.
And that's definitely what's
Yeah,
going to
that's
happen
right.
here. So it just
Hmm.
seems like, I mean, it's super vague, but it's like, what else do I have to go on? I mean, what's Komodo Lady's baby going to be? Like, that's a hard, we have no
Yeah.
Well, and
precedent or
listen,
context for that.
now you just made me think of the idea that what if, the Ankui kids came from this type of birth that Fatima's
Yeah.
having,
That's what
They
I
could
and
yeah.
have.
maybe that's why they got, altered.
Killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe the people who were love them or whatever, their parents ended up thinking they were bad, and
Yeah.
and them being sacrificed was how they were going to get out of this
But
place.
they poured their hope into the something. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, that's an
Yeah.
interesting theory. It doesn't seem like that's what they're doing, but you know, they're not above like portraying things in a certain way and then flipping that later. So
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm not ruling that out for sure.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, let's check out the next scene.
Uh, all right. Yeah, where can we go? We are coming back to the storyline. So if you want to say more about Fatima's baby, you're gonna get your chance.
Yeah. It's not going
All
anywhere.
right. So we go to credits and then we come out. We got Victor doing a Victor freak out, as he often does. This is just like following up from his big revelation in the church basement in the previous episode. So so Tabitha's
Hmm.
there and Sarah's there. Tabitha tries to talk him down. Victor regrets telling his mom what the boy in white said. Tabitha grabs Victor's arm and has some kind of episode. This is a major element of this. We actually end on this point, so this is where it starts. Um, it's like she's getting a vision or something, though
Yeah.
we don't see any vision until the very end.
Yeah.
Um,
Or is she getting a revelation?
oh, oh, look at that. Yeah, that was too good. Why didn't I think of that? Anyway, Victor storms out as he does. Sarah asks what happened. Tabitha doesn't know. And then Kenny comes in to tell Tabitha about Julie and she leaves, ruining our chance to discuss anything interesting. Yeah, I this is another thing that bugs me about this episode. Like, and we do end on this point, so I might end up saying this again later, but that Victor gives this long monologue. I read the full thing in the previous podcast, and he tells this story. We were just talking about it with these
Yeah.
kids that were born in the dark and murdered in the dark, and they poured their hope into the roots, and it formed the symbol. And it's like,
Hmm.
what the fuck? Like, it's all this shit, right? And then after all that, Victor's like, Christopher wouldn't do it, so I told my mom. And it's like this episode only addresses that. It doesn't talk about anything else that he said. It just talks about the fact
Mm,
that Victor told his mom this thing and he feels guilty about
yeah.
it, and that's it. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
This seems like such a lost thing to me, where it's just like they end
Yes.
up
To
focusing.
pick up the most pedestrian part of
Yes,
it and not the
exactly.
metaphysical
Yeah.
fantasy part. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like no one's even talking about like what the fuck was all
Hmm.
that shit about, Even Tabitha, who's seeing
Hmm.
on Cooey Kids, is not talking about
Well,
this
and it's
crazy
like
ass
on the one hand,
story.
it makes sense though. On the one hand, that they are talking about the stuff that resonates with them most emotionally,
Sure,
like that just makes sense. But
sure,
I
sure.
want
Yeah,
to
there's
see them
always a
talk
reason.
about that.
Okay, God, yeah, fine.
Just to defend the writers here for writing logically, but also irritatingly.
Yeah, it's just frustrating to watch. I mean, I would also be annoyed if they talked about it, but just in a vague way and brush it off, which they often do with stuff like that. But in a way, I would like that better than this, where they don't even acknowledge it. There's like not
That
even
you're right.
word one
Yeah,
about it.
acknowledging would be helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you just learned this crazy ass thing about this place, and like no one even says a thing about it. Like it's just like, oh, I told my mom this thing, and then she died. It's like,
And is
okay,
Victor just realizing that causality there, or
yes.
is he didn't realize that before, that that's the reason she went?
Well, he didn't remember that he had told her that until just this last episode.
Well,
So
before he thought that she went because she just got this idea in her head that she had to save the kids.
Yeah.
He forgot where she
He
got.
He
forgot.
forgot where she got it from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, which sounds like something you'd block out if you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I told my mom she should leave, to about this thing, and then she said, I'm gonna go check that thing out.
Yeah.
And then she didn't come back, or
Yeah.
found her body and she's dead.
Yeah, it's a major theme of this episode. People feeling guilty about
Oh yeah.
things.
That's true.
So yeah, just
That's
saying,
true.
it's a theme.
I also think there's like some inconsistency in this storyline. I mentioned in the previous episode. I'm gonna mention it again. I'll probably mention it every fucking podcast until they acknowledge it. Which is that Miranda painted the Ankui kids. We saw a painting in her basement of the Ankui kids. So it's like she couldn't have gotten everything from Victor. She got some of that from her own vision. And I feel like they're also not acknowledging that. It's like it's almost like they've rewritten what the story was. And it's bothering me. So
yeah,
anyway.
because they want it to be just thematic.
Well, Victor doesn't know that.
Yeah, but
presumably,
Tabitha does.
Yeah, Tabitha does.
Tabitha could be like,
yeah.
Well, right. I mean, whatever. It would still be true that him saying that is what catalyzed her departure that night.
Well, and I do think it's an oversight for Victor to not be told that his mother knew about this place before they even went there.
Does he really not know that? Because that's fucking
ridiculous. Well, that's what I'm saying. I would want him to have the opportunity to say, oh, she talked about that place when I was little, or I remember being in the basement and her drawing the picture.
Because he was there when that happened.
He was around, so it'd be
point.
nice to be able to circle back to that, to at least get his perspective on, did she hide it from him, or did she tell him? Maybe even the day they disappeared, like, hey, Mom, where are we driving to? Oh, we're gonna, we're going to the place. I'm hearing voices, or whatever. Like, going to save the kids. Obviously, she wouldn't say that then, but
right.
Yeah.
And then, she takes them, right? And then they disappear and they end up in the place. And I just feel like Victor should know. Like, I just find it so strange. I mean, maybe she was hiding it, but
yeah, she should have been like, yeah, my mom told me that we're here to find the kids, or my mom said that, because it's and I guess maybe we're supposed to believe that just because she had the paintings of the kids doesn't mean that when she got to the front world, she thought she should save them.
Yeah, that's true.
She knew that there was any people to save. And we don't even know if the kids, appeared to her the way they appeared to Tabitha.
But wait a minute. No. Didn't Tabitha and Henry specifically discuss the kids and the tower and all that stuff? I swear they did. Am I wrong? Am I wrong about that?
But are you? Yeah, no, they did discuss it. But are you saying
Henry couldn't have known about that unless Miranda knew about that?
You saying that Henry, in the episode where Henry tells Tabitha all this stuff about Miranda?
Yeah, big basement scene.
That he talks about kids needing to be saved.
Yeah, I think she mentioned the kids in the tower, and that's what turned him. Like, because
you're right.
Because
you're right.
Yeah, because initially.
Okay, so now we're in a situation where Victor is just wrong.
Yeah, but I mean, that's also not. I mean, I don't think it's really worth.
Victor's just wrong. Oh, it makes it even worse. Oh, I'm so annoyed now. Oh my god, I had forgotten that was actually the crux of that storyline.
Here's the thing: it's still true that him saying that led her to leave that night and get killed.
It's just still less his fault.
Yeah, it's less his fault, but people don't blame themselves out of a sense of logic. People feel a tremendous amount of guilt about this. I think this is realistic considering how traumatized
it's just that he's not. It's just that he doesn't have all the information, even if he wouldn't, feel guilty about that part of it, he still doesn't even know the whole context of what happened with her.
I don't know what he knows. I don't know like what they told him when Henry arrived.
Or what he knew beforehand.
Yeah,
know?
she might have said
Mhm.
something.
Because all that stuff that she
But-
went through was before they came.
What
so.
I'm saying is, I feel like you're frustrated because you want to get deeper into the mysteries of her dreams and the Ankui kids and all of this, but that in reality, a person in this situation would feel that way, especially somebody who was so deeply traumatized. It's just that we have the distance of watching a mystery show where we want to know more about the mysteries.
I just want, especially Tabitha, since like she's personally implicated in that thing, and she's there with Victor in this episode, trying to comfort him and stuff.
Yeah.
Multiple scenes of that actually, and she never brings up the fact that, oh, Victor, you know, your mother was seeing those kids
Right.
and knew they were locked in a tower before you told her anything.
Right.
She wanted to
Mhm.
save
Yeah,
them,
it's like
and
he's-
that's why
That's
she
the
went to the town in
line.
the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Victor, it's not your fault. Your mother was trying to save those kids before y'all even got
Yeah,
to this
yeah.
place.
She just didn't know about the tree. I think that's the only thing he told her that she didn't know. That like there's this tree. You go through this tree, and that's how
She didn't have a place. Yeah. She was like, "Oh my God, I'm at the place I've
Yeah.
been dreaming about.
Yeah.
Oh, the kids, I got to save them, but how?" And
Yeah.
then he tells her this, and then she goes off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I just think
I
that's
would say at least that's consistent. You know, that's a straightforward, consistent character motivation.
Yeah.
At least that makes sense for
It
her, on her
does.
perspective.
It does. It's just, you know, added to the list of like details that they're not acknowledging because they want to push an agenda.
Yeah. Well.
You know?
Not an agenda.
It just reminds me of the whole thing with Dale and going through the tree, you know. I felt jerked around, like they knew they were going to a certain place, and so they oriented everything to get to that place and ignored everything that would make going to that place not make sense.
That's called writing. Yes, I think they did that.
But like to me in a way that I found very annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
It just
Bad
felt
writing.
rigged, you know. It felt like the game was rigged.
God.
Sorry,
Who's even in control of TV, right?
seriously, who's pulling the strings here?
Mhm.
All right. So anyway, that's some stuff. Are you ready for the next?
Yeah.
Okay. So Christy, oh my God, I'm angry again.
Oh, boy.
Christy
It's been a
checks.
long podcast.
I know. I keep getting so mad. Christy checks Julie and says she's okay. Christy asks what happened. Julie tells a lie. I call it a lie, but maybe it wasn't a lie. Maybe it's a delusion, or maybe she really believes it. Who knows? That she had a quote weird dream. Christy wants Julie to stay there. Jim agrees. Jim asks Julie what they were doing out there. Jim says she went there with Randall. Ooh. Tabitha comes in to check on Julie. Jim leaves. Okay. So mostly business. I'm gonna complain about Julie later.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Randall tries to look at his scar in the mirror, but then he's plagued by cicada sounds. Jim shows up, breaking the spell. Jim asks what he and Julie were doing in the woods. Um, Jim reveals that he actually thinks it has something to do with the shared trans thing. It's not what we were assuming here, personally. This is what it seemed like he was gonna go do a Jim thing.
Yeah, he's
then-
not very Jim in this.
And then he
episode.
actually he turned a corner where he's like, no,
Yeah.
I'll actually like for real ask questions and
Yeah,
not just be
Henry
belligerent.
appears to have gotten through to him.
Yeah.
Yep.
It definitely seemed like he turned a corner, which is what I was hoping in the previous episode.
Yeah,
Anyway,
thank God.
yeah, Randall's
Mhm.
actually less helpful than Jim is in this scene. So Randall says he was teaching her how to drive, and they ended up in the woods. He's vague about that, of course. Thanks, Randall. But he has no idea what happened, what's going on, or anything about the ruins. Thanks, Randall. He just thought they, quote, felt wrong. Jim reluctantly accepts this and tries to leave, but Randall says, just give Julie some driving lessons. Everything else is useless, and none of them is getting out of there alive. Jim doesn't accept that and leaves.
I think that was him being old Jim. That's still Jack, just like on Lost. That's Jack just not accepting what's being told in his face all the time.
Yeah.
So two steps forward, but he's still got that gym. Uh,
Yeah, stubbornness.
yeah, the stubbornness.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is there. It is there. But it's less whatever that like stay away from my
It's less
family thing.
confrontational. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
less. He's not operating out of fear, right? So I think that's
right.
what Henry told him is
Yeah,
like you like be more reasonable.
yeah,
But yeah, like what's up with Randall and these cicadas? What he's in his own personal hell.
yeah.
Like no
Not
one's,
telling
you know,
anyone.
Yeah, it makes me
not
wonder, because Julie says that ever since that occurrence, she hears screaming all the time. I wonder if he hears screaming or if he just has the cicadas. And I wonder what Marielle's version of this is.
Yeah,
Surely
yeah,
she still has some kind of
which they
lingering
haven't really talked
haunting.
about.
It's like
yeah,
she's not even there.
Yeah, 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 yeah. She briefly makes
yeah.
an appearance in this
I
episode.
think I think they. I don't know. I'm confused what they're doing between her and
Christy.
Christy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, because it's like oh, we need a doctor. Well, we got two to choose from.
it's just,
How bad is it? Like, who's available? Is
which
somebody
one's
stuck in a bear
injured?
trap? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's a little odd, and I thought all those scenes with her and Randall should have pushed this plot forward with their shared
Yeah.
experience. They wasted time
Yeah,
not like just getting one or two steps closer to something with what happened to them, and it seems like that should have been the point of their characters this season,
Yeah.
since
yep.
between the three of them they haven't done really anything else. Um, so it seems like that should have been the point. Is like, okay, this season they're going to explore the fallout of the trauma from that experience and try to figure it out. And it's like they did pieces of that. Obviously, what Julie's doing is the bulk of that. But it's strange that they didn't really have the two other characters get further down that line, even with Randall getting some attention from the monsters. And like, I still don't understand. They ripped him up just for him to be bandaged up fairly decently,
Yeah.
and like, okay, why?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good question. I wish I
Yeah,
knew.
Yeah.
I wish I knew. I do wonder what's going on with these cicadas and how it's going to tie in. It's really not obvious. I'm beginning to be skeptical that all of these threads are going to be addressed or
They will be,
resolved in the next. There's only one episode. I mean, how much can they even
yeah.
get to? Cabin Thumper. I mean, I
There's not
think you're
going to be
right.
anything. Yeah, there's not going to be anything about Cabin Thumper.
Like,
There's not going to be anything about the cicadas.
Yeah.
it's like, are we really gonna do another season where we still haven't dealt with the cicadas? Like,
Yes.
seriously,
Mhm.
seriously.
It makes me think the cicadas are a metaphor for like that Randall is a ticking time bomb, that something is brewing, something's growing, something's waiting. He's still a target.
Interesting.
And the same way, especially when he was about to take the bandages off and they didn't let us see his face. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, are they, is it gonna heal in a weird way? Is he, what's the point of this? How is this, his attack and he's still got the cicadas going? Yeah, I feel like we will get to something with that in the next episode.
Oh God, I hope so.
I do. I would put my money on us figuring out. It might not be over, but we'll at least have something to
Progress.
go. Oh, okay, that's what's happening. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I deeply, deeply, desperately hope you're right. I want because he's
Desperately.
been in this cicada mode since the first scene we saw him in this season. Like that when
Yep.
Boyd goes to on the bus, we get these cicadas, and then Boyd comes in when he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna catch a monster," like which that idea fell by the
Yeah, and
wayside.
if it was just lingering trauma, I felt like they would have given him or one of them an opportunity to just throw that out there. like maybe even the scene with Boyd, right? When Boyd comes on the bus, right after Randall had just seen the cicadas, and Boyd's like, or heard them, I forgot, and then he's like, "What's going on?" And he doesn't say anything to, like, if he had said, I'm still hearing those damn cicadas every now and then, and then did he go, that's just this place getting at you,
Yeah.
or you're still, that's PTSD, some very better way to write, no, that's just PTSD. So at least we could just say, at least we could like stop focusing on it and go, oh, okay, that's just them being creative with how trauma is for these people.
Yeah.
And then if they want to make a plot point out of it later, they can. But I feel like they didn't even, do that.
No.
So all we're left to do is think it's important.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree. Oh my God. 100%. All right. Well, shall we move on?
Let's go.
Okay, so the next scene, we got Boyd and Ellis. They arrive at the sheriff's station. Ellis wants him to go to the clinic after the Parkinson's thing. Boyd refuses. Boyd reveals that that he knows what's happening. Like it wasn't just some random episode that happened out of nowhere. And so he asks Ellis to sit down so they can, quote, talk.
To quote.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
That's what he said. So I quoted him.
Okay.
All right. So we'll pick that up later. I assume that's
yes.
okay.
Yep.
At Colony House, Donna has a memory of Fatima's anniversary. All right. That's the scene.
Yep.
I just want to say real quick, even though it's not relevant, that was the night that that idiot opened the window for the monster that he'd been leaving flowers for. Anyway.
Yeah, they were having a big party.
Bringing about a chain of events that would completely change the tone of Colony House life. Anyway.
Forevermore. Yeah, it's true. It's true. I don't think she was remembering that part. No.
But I did.
You did. Thank you. Coming in with the cloud for Donna's silver lining.
Yes.
Okay. So Tabitha looks out the window at the infirmary. Jim walks over, says Ethan's asleep. Jim admits he hasn't been doing a good job, saying that Tabitha's trying to make sense of the place. And if there's a chance it can lead them home, he is in all the way. Tabitha says there's something Julie's not telling them, and Jim says he knows.
Yeah.
All right, so continuing with Jim's redemption, can we say?
Yes, please.
Wow, please say it all the time.
Even though it's like, wait, so it has to get us home for this to be valid? Is that what's going on, Jim? All right, fine. Fine.
Good point.
It's merely instrumental for you? Okay, fine. Anyway, whatever. I still give him credit, even though I was like, I don't know. Do you have to make it a caveat like that?
Yes.
So anyway.
Your support is conditional.
Yeah. Clearly. All right. So Boyd has told Ellis about the Parkinson's and then says when it started. And then he says, then he tells Ellis the other people who know about it. Ellis says, you should have told me. And he asks if the leg thing has happened before. No. And concludes that it's getting worse. Boyd says there's something else. He reveals what happened with Tian Shin in the barn. We're going to break you or whatever. They made him watch, etc. And Boyd speculates in a almost Elgin-esque fashion that maybe the Fatima thing is part of the plan to break him. Okay, Boyd. It's
maybe not everything is about you.
But if it was for you, like, it's not been doing a good job because you've barely been involved in that plot line. But okay. So anyway, at this point there's a knock outside. It's night, by the way, and there's a monster out there asking for Boyd. Boyd goes to the window and threatens her with a gun, and she mocks him, and Ellis pulls him away from the window. So this is our
This-
first nighttime monster or nightmare creature sighting since the ambulance attack, I believe. The only other time we've
Mm-hmm.
seen him is like in the what do they call them? The tunnels.
To me, this is when they are scary.
Yeah.
Not when they're, they look
The
like the
face.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
this is when they're
Mm-hmm.
scary. And the fact that she like holds her fingers up as if to gesture shooting herself in the head, it's so like psychologically chef's kiss creepy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It feels like it's vaguely picking up on the
Because
thing.
he's pulling the gun as if it would do anything, right? I mean, that's the
Yeah.
key,
Right. Not
right?
only would it
Like,
not have an effect on her, but also it would give her an opening to come in
That
and
could let her
kill
in.
them.
yeah,
So it's
exactly what she wants. He
doubly
really should be
absurd.
beyond being triggered this easily by them, I think. But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because he's in the middle of talking about his
Yeah.
Parkinson's and
Yeah.
Fatima, and
Yeah.
so he's heightened. But
And Tianchen, like it's a lot of
yeah,
stuff
that's true.
that he's
Yeah,
thinking about there. So yeah, I think that's
It's
the idea, but I do agree. It's like so. It's like not only ineffective but actually harmful. Like it's such a
yeah.
crazy thing to like even like threaten to do.
it's also
I thought,
reminiscent of the scene when Ellis and Fatima are hiding in the sheriff's station and
Oh yeah,
mm,
Fatima has a freak out.
yeah,
yeah.
Um anyhow.
yeah,
Yeah, and I was
yeah,
gonna say, I thought it was just funny that this creature's just eavesdropping outside, waiting for her moment to knock on the
Yeah.
glass. She's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
"Is this a
yeah,
good time? Is this a good time? Ah, here's a perfect moment."
Yep.
Just,
yep.
just, just to talk about the fact, how do they know things? They're just hanging out. They're just walking around, listening, putting glasses to walls and listening.
I don't know. I think they know some things by non-normal means, and I will give a
Yeah,
specific
yeah, they
example
do.
of that later.
I know you will.
Um, but yeah, in this scene, it is possible that she just had her ear to the window. Like that is totally like within the
Yeah.
realm of reason. So I will not deny it, but I still think they know shit, and I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Did you finish
Um,
describing the scene?
yeah,
Okay, because I was gonna just jump back to why are we even? What is this scene? What's the purpose here at this point in the season for the Parkinson's to be flaring up? He's thinking about the next generation. This scene also reminded me in the scene later with Kenny that like if Kenny wasn't on the show, Ellis would be in Kenny's spot. I
yeah,
think there's the thing that I have wanted from the relationship with Boyd and Ellis is like more scenes together.
mm-hmm,
And I realized that Kenny gets a lot of the scenes that
yep,
Ellis would normally get,
yep, yep,
and also Ellis never really had anything to really do on the show action wise. He's been so much just about being uh, focused on Fatima in whatever way.
mm-hmm,
And I was just thinking, like he should be the one that's like, oh man, this place, my dad had to kill my mom because this place is crazy, and like, you would think that he would want to be part of the Law and Order team, you
mm-hmm,
know, and want some control or want to be like his dad or want to whatever. And so it's just an interesting thing in this episode because like, he's like Boyd kind of has like two sons basically,
yeah.
and so one son's getting part of him, and then the other son's getting this other part of him. It's kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
I mean, they made that connection explicit with like the thing Tianchen said
Yeah, yeah,
when
yeah.
she was dying. Like they pretty much said that like Kenny's a surrogate son.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Mm-hmm.
I think that's absolutely there. But it is weird that he has a real son there too.
Yeah.
And and like yeah, their relationship is very different. I agree. I think the show has struggled to figure out what to do with Ellis for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they wanted Boyd to have a son, but they didn't quite get anywhere
Mm-hmm.
beyond that. You know, like Walt had stuff to do. Did it go anywhere? Maybe not, but he did have stuff to do.
Well, he's
Yeah.
been in this supporting role with the Fatima storyline, but
Yeah.
and early on there was a lot of friction between the two of them, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I had forgotten about the Parkinson's until his hands started shaking.
Me too. I
Same.
put it aside. Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, that was the thing for a while. I thought the bloodworms fixed it or something.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that's what they were leading us to believe. So I was like
Yeah,
ready to
yeah,
move
yeah.
on.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. All right. Are you
Yeah.
ready to move forward? Okay. So uh at home, Sarah puts the snowman back together. Finally.
Oh,
It's a
wow.
long time coming.
Oh my god, I've been waiting for this.
But it turns out that maybe she shouldn't have.
Yeah, maybe
I
it was
didn't think,
bad.
yeah.
Or maybe it was just a coincidence.
I
Or maybe
think
the voices were watching. I
the
really don't
call
know.
was coming from inside the snowman. Yeah, I think it's a snowman's as a conduit to this place. You know, that's why the monsters in the have those trinkets in the tunnels. You know, they have to take the personal belongings of
Right.
people. You know, and
Yeah.
that's how they use them to manipulate them. And so that's
And
my
that
crackpot theory.
snowman was wearing a bracelet.
Tabitha's bracelet.
Oh, look at that. Nice.
Oh man.
Anyway, then she hears the voices, seeming pained by it. Sorry, I didn't quite get there.
That's
But
right.
that's the end of the scene. We will come back to Sarah's voices later. I want to make a specific comment about that, but I will not do it now, for I will do it later. Okay. So Elgin checks out to the root cellar, looking around before entering, making sure no one's watching, I think. Fatima is trying to pull a chunk out of the metal bed to use as a weapon. Her belly
Mm-mm-mm.
shows. Something's happening with the belly. I'm 100% clear what, but I guess it's the obvious thing. She hears Elgin and she manages to get that chunk out of the bed, that piece of metal. And Elgin enters. Elgin says things are going faster because she's eating. And the baby will be there in no time. Do you know that? Or are you just saying that? I have no idea. Anyway, uh, he has some better fitting clothes for her, like a specific dress. She's going to put that on later. Fatima asks for help getting up and cuts his hand and tries to run, but he pulls her back in. So, yeah, this is pretty useless. I don't know what to do with this scene.
Yeah, she really blew her shot with that shiv.
Yeah, it kind
She
of seems like
should have had a better plan.
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well done.
I should
I think
have
you
done that. You know,
you
sorry.
you blew his mind.
Wow.
I hated that, by the way. It was so dumb.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, what? What's she gonna do with this? Oh, she's gonna slice his throat.
Yeah.
Nope.
No,
Yeah,
she's gonna
you go for the
gingerly.
jugular.
She's gonna
Just
give him a paper cut. She did less than what she did to Tilly. She give him a paper cut,
She really
and
did.
then
yeah.
and then I feel like in any other
Tilly's not in the
story,
opening credits, okay? So
And
yeah.
she doesn't
I feel
even
like in
lap it
any
up after.
right. Well, she's got a dryer there, you know, but
Yeah,
she
that's
doesn't want
true.
the fresh. It's got to be, room temperature. I she didn't even oh, what I was gonna say is, I feel like in any other story with someone, secretly holding a character captive, that character cuts their hand, and then the captor is gonna be seen by other people later.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think the cut hand
Yep.
gets noticed.
Totally.
Especially when you're in the woods with Ellis. Ellis can go,
Yep.
"Oh, how did you cut your hand?"
Yeah, yeah.
And it
I
never
and the
came
rest
up.
of
That's a good
America
point,
were
actually.
waiting
Never
for
came
that
up.
scene for Ellis to be like, "How did you cut your hand?"
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was already annoyed with this scene. I didn't even realize that shit should have happened, and it should have. That would have given it a point. Because
Yeah,
it's
that would have given
useless.
it a
She
point.
gets
It's
nowhere.
useless
We're back to
to get
square one at
nowhere.
the end of the scene.
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
it's just like, why even bother? Like, cut
It
this.
shows how desperate she is. No, what's strange too, that I think that is fueling my frustration in part, is that her whole thing was being worried about the baby and the safety of the baby, right? Okay. Okay, then things turn dark when she can't eat, blah blah blah. Then she starts doing the blood, and now okay, then the ultrasound, there's no baby. Okay, then she starts worrying that something's wrong with the baby, right? But then somebody shows up who says through supernatural forces can help her make this all safe. And she doesn't go, oh, okay, great. Woo, finally. Okay, what should I
Mm-hmm.
do? She's now in a state of conflict against the person that's actually trying to help her do the thing that she wanted help with.
Yeah.
And it's so that becomes frustrating, It's like, why won't she just trust him? I know why, because he abducted her.
Yeah,
But like, there's
yeah,
a
and
way that
lied
it's
and
like
stuff.
that she could actually trust him, and this could go a lot smoother. But
Yeah,
they're showing that she's really, really, really against this happening. She's so much that she's trying to attack him, and now
yeah,
she finds the door, later. But
yep,
it's just interesting how much she's trying. She doesn't actually have a good plan, though, right? All she could really do is go back to the shack and do the same thing she's
yeah,
gonna do here, which is give birth to the baby.
yeah.
So I don't know. It's a
Yeah,
little odd.
they could have written it differently, definitely. They could have had Elgin show up and be like, I know what's going on with your baby. None of the others will understand, but I can
Yeah,
help you. You need to go into this root cellar and you need to have the baby there. And, I've been,
and and
it,
have the things that he's saying actually prove to be true, right? Okay,
yeah,
drink the blood, you feel better. See, you feel better.
yeah,
Okay, now
yeah,
the baby's moving along, right? Okay, because you do
yeah,
want this pregnancy to be over, right? I mean, it obviously be
yeah,
scary what will happen on delivery day, but at least
yeah,
it progressing shows that he knows what he's talking about.
definitely.
Why are we
Definitely.
trying to convince her to trust this guy? Why is that logical? I
It's
don't
just
know.
it's just sort of frustrating to be stuck in this loop,
It doesn't seem
Yeah.
like there's an alternative at this point. It's like, how do you abort a non-existent
Yeah,
demon
yeah.
hmm
It's
fetus?
like, yeah, it's like, what else you got? Like, just fighting it isn't gonna help. So it just
And
seems,
you bring up another thing that's a little frustrating too is I feel like they could have underscored that point with Tilly's death and to say, listen, Fatima, the
yeah,
way to stop this pregnancy is to stop eating, right? And then the baby will die. But before the baby dies, it's gonna make you into turn you into a murderous rampage, right?
yeah, yeah,
So this is what happens if you don't follow what the baby wants. Like I feel like
yeah.
that's what we see on screen, but they didn't really underscore
They don't
that,
actually
and they should
say
have
It's
been like,
yeah.
yeah,
because then
there's
that
just
would
like
force her
one
to go, shit,
throwaway
yeah, I
line.
really do need to drink this blood. I really do need to do this thing.
Hmm.
Otherwise, people are at risk. Ellis could be next, right?
Yep,
Right,
Which is
and
what my Boyd's whole thing was
yep,
before.
yeah.
yep, yep.
Yeah, and Elgin has this throwaway line, but he's grinning like a cult member. He just comes across as
That's a
really untrustworthy.
very apt description. He does come across like something was removed from his brain, and he is
Yeah.
very like the critical thinking is gone, and he has drunk the Kool Aid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I feel like there was nothing in what we knew about Elgin before to suggest that he would behave like this. It just
hmm
seems so out of
he
nowhere.
turned a corner quickly. He was
Yeah,
afraid of all this stuff. And then
yeah.
all of a sudden she said, "Help me," and he goes, "Cool.
Oh, okay.
Can I play with a Polaroid for a while?"
What do you need?
Right.
Yeah, it's like, did she tell him to get the Polaroid camera and like she'll send him messages through it? Because it seemed like it was just a random coincidence that they found it, and then it started
hmm
becoming the message thing.
Don't
Yeah.
even.
I know, I know, I know.
All right, let's move
There's
forward. We could, yeah.
let's
Okay.
we go round and round all day. Okay, so it's morning again. Ellis wants to go look for Fatima. Boyd wants to form a search party, but Ellis doesn't think that's a good idea because supposedly Donna will tell everyone what happens. That's what she claimed. We saw it in the previously on. Of course, that turns out to be wrong, but he doesn't know that at this point. Boyd says he'll talk to Donna. Sarah enters. Sarah asks about Fatima, guessing that she's missing. Ellis is angry, but Boyd holds him back. Sarah continues. She heard the voices, quote, for the first time since the ruins. They said that Fatima didn't leave on her own, that something took her. They want Ellis to know that she's close. She's afraid. And the voices were laughing because they know you won't find her in time. They want you to know you can't save her.
Hmm.
Okay, so there's a couple of things here. First thing is, I thought that thing in season 2 when Sarah hears the voice at the ruins, I thought that was different. I thought that was like this specific thing about, you know, the whatever that entity was that was, coming for 3 and creating the
Uh-huh.
cicadas and giving the ballerina vision and, killing people or hurting them in their dreams. And I thought that's what that was. I didn't think that was the same as the voices that she heard earlier that said, open a door, leave the door open, or kill the boy, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But she's assuming they are the same. And so I guess that's the show telling us they're the same. I don't know. To me, that was not what I thought. Um, and then like the stuff she actually says here is fucking weird to me. I can't get over this. They said that Fatima didn't leave on her own, that something took her. Okay.
Right.
What the fuck? Are they
So
lying? Are they manipulating? Like, it's just like, it's
is
weird because that's not accurate. I
but
mean,
is Elgin somewhat possessed?
I think they're intimating that Elgin, might have done the actions, but the kimono lady is in charge and is responsible for taking her. That's how I took that line.
okay. I just thought this was a weird way to characterize it because it just didn't really. It would be one thing if kimono
Mm-hmm.
lady dragged her down there, and then I would
Yeah.
accept this. But it's like she walked there with Elgin, who's not a thing. So I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
this is weird. Like, I don't know. It made me wonder if the voices are just being, like things do in this world, like just like trying to fuck with them, trying to like throw them off. And, I mean, some of what it's saying is true, like that she's
Yeah.
close, you know, but then they're laughing, so it's like, wait, are they just taunting and just like getting their
Yeah,
jollies,
they're
as you like
trolling.
to
I think it's
say?
just when Christopher and the dummy showed up to Jade. That just seems to be trolling for trolling's sake.
Okay.
And like why, yeah, to come and to trigger Sarah to say all this, and there is, and that's another thing too, right? Why not give Boyd this message if they were
Mm-hmm.
able to? Why, it seems like they can't,
I would,
that
yeah,
Sarah has that ability to be a receiver for this,
yeah.
but yeah, the fact that they said she's close and that you won't find her in time. I mean, it goes back to the previous scene, right, about Boyd saying maybe this pregnancy is about me,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, well, okay, they came in to basically tell him, yeah, it is. Like, here's your ticket. You didn't even know you needed to save her,
Right.
before like a certain time,
Oh,
So it's a little
I'm
odd.
sorry. That's the other point I wanted to make. I forgot. The other point I wanted to make is Elgin's party line is you got to have this baby. If you have this
Yeah,
baby, we're all going to go home, right?
yeah.
That's what he's like saying and seemingly really believes. The voices are saying you can't save her. And so, like, that's implying that it isn't a good thing what's happening to her. And it's,
Hmm.
like there's no implication here that she's gonna get home, right? So there's like, so somebody's lying here, right? Are they both lying? Are they, you know,
Well,
like,
I think either somebody's lying or they're both telling the truth and they're just on different sides. They're in different teams.
well, I mean, yeah, fair enough, right? Are they on different? So is the Komodo lady actually trying to be helpful, and they're actually trying to like sabotage it by like saying that she's close? Of course they could sabotage it more by saying she's in the root cellar. Go find her. If
I
they
don't.
really want
Yeah,
to, stop it, like that would be the way, right? But they
I
don't
don't
do
think they want
that.
to stop it. I think they think it can't be stopped. I think they're just trolling to say, haha, like here's something. Like they're turning the heat up, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey Boyd, if you didn't think you had enough to deal with, guess what? Now we're sitting by laughing at you that you can't you don't even know that because saying she's close is makes it worse. right?
Yeah.
If you're looking for somebody frantically, the fact that they're close and somebody saying you can't find them is worse than, oh, they're 1,000 miles away and you have 10 minutes to get there. Then it's like,
Right.
okay, well, I
No
can't get there. How
yeah.
bad can I feel? You know,
Yeah.
versus like, no, she's right under your nose and you'll never find her is the worst version of that. So it's just a thing. I don't, that's probably my top three things I want to understand about this show ultimately is like, why the trolls? Like, it just feels like, if you want to say a huge metaphor, if they're in hell, right? It just seems like, in certain depictions of hell, demons are there just to enjoy you being tortured. And that's what it
Yeah.
seems like. They're just there to sort of enjoy, and hey, if they want to pop up and appear as Christopher and the dummy and just say boo, then they'll do that.
Yeah, apparently.
It's odd.
It's just like it's just I don't know. There's just a weird conflict here. Like if they don't, if they believe that what Elgin believes is true, which is to say, if this baby gets born, they're all gonna go home. You would think they would want to stop that, right? So because if they all go home, they can't keep torturing them. I mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like because they're not doing that, it makes me think that they don't believe that's true. And
Yeah. I think that could be true. Yeah.
I don't know for sure if whether they're right or not. I mean, I'm about 99% sure that they're not all going to go home at the end of the season. So I would bet
Mm-hmm.
anything on that. Maybe one of them goes home. I don't know. I can't imagine them repeating the ending of season 2. So that's the main reason why I don't even think one of them's going to get home. But,
Yeah.
but like there's like small scale things, like, but the idea that they'll all go home. I mean, this isn't the end of the show. So like that doesn't add up for me. So I don't
Also,
believe it,
she
and the
didn't.
evil voices don't believe it.
Yeah, and they didn't say when, right? Going home, they didn't say when. So it could be 100 years. We'll get out of here. A magic door will appear thanks to this baby. You know.
Yeah,
boy.
yeah. So anyway, like this just bothered me. It was so unhelpful and so vague, and yeah, it's example number whatever of just like shit, people
Mhm.
saying shit, and it doesn't. It's unhelpful in every
Well,
way, and I don't know what to do with it.
Wow.
I will say it does go. Again, it's more evidence that the whatever entities have omnipresence. They know what's
Yeah.
happening down there. They know the plot of her being taken. They know
Yep.
the kimono lady is involved. So
Yeah.
if the kimono lady thinks that she's under the radar, she's not, right? Like they
Right.
know what she's doing, whatever plan she has, which might suggest the same for the boy in white. Whatever he's trying to do, they might know about and can circumvent it or, thwart
Yeah.
it somehow. So I think that's something to get their heads around. You're never gonna, if you're a rat in a maze, you know, you're never going to like get out of the maze
Yeah.
if you don't like aren't able to change your perspective, right? So
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I, they are, yeah, they're
Rats
trolls.
in a maze with no cheese.
Aw.
So what's the point? I really wish they would sit down. I know it's too dramatic, but God, I wish they would sit down and go, guys, we just can't win. Like, what's the point of this? Like, what are we even doing? Like,
Yeah.
oh man,
They're
Fatima's
like
about to have a
Randall's
ghost
kind of.
baby. Like,
Individual characters get to that place sometimes temporarily,
mm-hmm,
but
mm-hmm.
yeah, it's true. There's no like collective acknowledgement of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems
Which
like if they just all decided not to play the game, then the game would be over. Like that's the only way to
oh
win
god,
is for them all to say, "Okay, monsters, we're not doing this anymore. We all agree, game over, not doing it anymore," and they just sit down and don't do anything, and then they're
I
like, "God damn it, that's how you win. That's the one rule." As if
I
everyone
take
decides they
away
don't want to play,
every
they can leave.
power I gave to you. You're nothing. You're shit. It's the end of Nightmare on Elm Street. That's what it is. They're going to do that, and then they're
Spoiler
going to be out of the
alert.
nightmare. Spoiler
There
alert,
you are.
1984. Come on, y'all. It's been 40
Yeah.
years. If you ain't seen it yet, you need to get on it.
Spoilers
right.
never age.
Okay. Ready for the next scene?
Ready.
All right. So a couple of red shirts do something meaningless at Colony House. Sorry. That's
what happened.
That's what I have to say. Victor starts throwing his shit out the window. Claire comes in. Victor storms out as he does. Akopsta and Kenny try to stop him, but then they stand aside. Victor goes into the kitchen and grabs an axe, and he says he won't hurt anybody. Kenny wants him to put it down. Victor is mad at himself and says no one is scared enough. Akopsta asks what the axe is for, and he says to chop down a tree.
Which
she asked about the axe.
She asked
about the axe.
She asked about the axe.
I should have immediately realized what tree it would be.
Oh, I knew immediately. Yeah.
For some reason, I didn't. I was like, oh, it's one of the trees that moved. And it's like, yeah, of course it's the fucking tree that he was thinking about earlier. The one he told his mom to go through. It makes so much sense. It's blindingly obvious to anyone who pays a tiny bit of attention to the show, and yet I didn't realize it anyway. All right.
Yeah.
I'll just point out, I
comments?
also didn't appreciate Kennedy putting his hand on his gun as if he was going to shoot Victor. I just like it didn't.
I agree.
It didn't go there yet. You know, Victor was slightly erratic, but he's been erratic before.
Yeah.
And it just was like it didn't. I don't know. I understand like. If you're not thinking about it, then okay, that's how you should play the scene. But
generically,
yeah,
generically,
I agree.
but not like specifically because they have talked about this before, and people have said many times that Victor is essentially harmless. So
Victor has a gun, as was
I think
reminded of.
What should have happened was Acosta should have did what she would have done, put her hand on the thing, and Kenny should have backed her down.
Yeah.
And known that he doesn't need to put his hand on his gun because it's Victor and he can talk to him.
Right.
Yeah, agreed.
Which is what he does.
Indeed. All right. So next scene, we got the Matthews clan arriving at the diner.
Party for 4.
Yep. Bacta, the bus driver, has it up and running again. Ethan helped with that. Bacta talks about the need to have a normal place again. All right, we'll come back to that. Donna looks at the picture of her sister in her room. Boyd knocks and comes in. Donna immediately says that she won't tell anyone about Fatima. People couldn't take it. Boyd reveals that she's gone, telling the story of the shed and what all happened in the previous episode. Boyd tells Donna about the voices and what they said. And Donna says, fuck this place. Ring the bell. We're calling a meeting.
Oh, ring the bell.
Yeah, fuck this place. Ring the bell. We're calling a meeting. That's great. That's great.
Yeah. I like the sentiment. I wish the result was more effectual, but anyway.
It's a bit like we're going to start an army.
Yeah, it is.
Ring the bell. We're going to have a meeting so that people can pair off and have conversations that they as people feel they ought to be having.
That's pretty much what happens. All right. But yeah, the threat of Donna telling everyone just goes away here.
Yeah, which was good.
They were setting up that. I am glad because I was worried that there was going to be a mob. You know, I was worried it was going to turn into some bullshit like that where they misunderstand everything and then they go for Sarah or something. You know, I was just like, oh God, I don't even want to deal with this. So anyway, even though I'm not totally happy with how things worked out, I am glad that other thing didn't happen. All right. Are you ready to move forward? Okay, so Ethan, we're back at the diner. Ethan isn't eating. He misses Tian Chen's pancakes, or does he? Maybe he's lying to cover up his guilt. Anyway, he goes to the bathroom.
Julie says he thinks it's his fault what happened to her since he gave the go ahead. You know, she asked him like, "What should I do?" And he was like, "Yeah, you gotta go, be brave."
Oh, that's why he goes to the bathroom, because that needs to happen. I was like, is it? I kept waiting for it to become significant that he and Jim are like slightly late to the so-called
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wait,
I
what?
think
What's
it's
the significance?
Just because he needs to step away from the table so that Julie
Yeah.
can tell the parents that he feels guilty and like
Ah.
what happened at the room.
Yeah, because they didn't even know what happened
Yeah.
out there
Yes.
specifically
Yeah.
with Ethan. So yeah, I think that's exactly the reason this happens. She also says the family breakfast isn't helping.
Yeah, it's lame. The family breakfast didn't help this episode. I'll say that. Julie and I agree on that.
Yeah.
You know, I want to say the other. I'm on the parent side of like, come on, guys. The whole point is to try to have some normalcy. Yeah.
Yeah.
How is this not helping? What would you rather be doing right now?
Well, you're not wrong.
You know, yeah, it's not. You know,
Howdy.
What?
We could go to the caves and look for some Ankui kids in cages.
Oh my God! Could you imagine? That's what down with it. She said, "Oh, you're not happy with the fact we don't have pet kids? Okay, how about we go in the tunnel? Do you want to go down
Yeah.
there?
Oh,
Yeah,
you
let's
you
go
think your
explore.
childhood is so bad? Well, you're not locked in a tower.
Let me show you where the kids are.
You
Yeah,
still have all your hair.
I thought I saw that kid in this episode. I'm like, what? Where'd the hair go? What did they do to you guys? Why are you partially bald?
Yeah, it's almost like it was like a nuclear
Yeah.
test site or something. Like it seems like that kind of thing. Like they were subject to
Mhm.
some like
Yeah.
radiation or something. Like that's how it
Yeah,
comes off.
radiation. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not basing that on anything but the real world. They
Are
haven't
you
just fixed
saying
it in the show, but
electromagnetism maybe?
oh no,
Hmm.
it's magnets again.
Hmm.
Magnets. Why do you do everything? All right. Are you ready for the
All
next
right.
scene?
I just realized
go.
this show, like, we've never seen a compass. It seems like in a show like this, people should have compasses, and then they
Didn't
stop.
they show a compass earlier? Am I wrong?
Are you saying their directionless are lost?
Oh. Maybe I'm wrong.
Or did they have a scene where compasses don't work? Or was there no compass at all and I'm just making it up? I
Well,
really don't
I
know.
constat.
I feel like I remember it, but I could be wrong. 'cause-
It is my current claims there are no compasses, and maybe it's because in the year 2022 or whatever this is set in, nobody really walks around with a compass.
That's
Mhm.
true.
They had
But
everything else though.
yep,
What
Yeah.
about phone? I guess they must have done the something in the first episode or two about phones,
yeah,
right?
phones
Like,
don't get service.
They said the phones don't work. Yeah. They talked
but you
about
know
that.
what phones do have? They
What?
have compasses on
What?
them.
Oh.
But don't they require
You can use your map.
data
No. I mean, you can. Your phone will generally store your current location's map, and
Wow.
what is it called? I can't think of the word now. Yeah, the compass and the accelerometer and it's another word I'm looking for.
I guess it doesn't really matter since they
Will still
don't
work.
know what is in any given direction. But when they go out on
Yeah.
these hikes, they never seem to get lost.
Mhm.
Well, they were a couple of times. But anyway, shall we proceed?
We shall.
All right. Donna and Boyd ring the bell for a meeting. Donna comes in the diner and asks everyone to go outside. Jim will wait for Ethan, Tabitha, and Julie go outside. Ellis asks Boyd what's going on. He says, it's okay. Donna says, we know you're scared, blah, blah, blah. Ethan emerges and goes outside with Jim. Boyd says Fatima is missing. Elgin arrives. Donna proposes searching. Boyd reveals that he knows that she is, quote, close by because something told them, and tries to rally the troops by talking about the talismans, framing it as a way for the place to break them, and offers them the chance to say, fuck you to the place and fight back. He says, we, quote, proved it once before, and now he wants to prove it again. Murmurs of agreement. That's what the subtitle said. So I'm going to say they were murmurs of agreement.
It's a good band name.
It is. Bacta asks how. Boyd says they will pair up and cover every inch of this place. He ends the huddle.
Ooh, better watch out, Plays. They're coming for you 2x2.
Which is to say
Sorry.
every place that they already have a set for.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
And no more.
Julie and Ethan want to help. They go with Tabitha and Jim respectively. Ellis talks to Boyd and says it's better if they find Fatima, meaning himself or Ellis. And not like it's better if we find her in general. Like someone should find her. That would be better. Like, yeah, it would, Boyd. That's not what he means. Anyway, he and Ellis should find her. And they have a quote better chance if they split up. Ellis agrees. Boyd reassures him they will find her. Boyd recruits Kenny as his partner, and Elgin offers to partner with Ellis. And we'll come back to that. Okay, sorry. I got a question for y'all. What the fuck is he talking about? We proved it once before. What does that mean? I seriously had no idea what he's referring to, and I feel like I should. Like, when did they fight back? What?
By finding the talisman so that they can't as easily just hunt
Yeah,
them down.
that's right. Yeah. We proved that this place couldn't break us. Yeah, because he's basically saying before, when they were living moment to moment, it was really bad, and they overcame that by getting real lucky and finding those talismans, which gave them like a sense of normalcy, and now they have to do it again. Like, it's when you analyze it, it's very flimsy.
Yeah,
that's what I was stuck on.
He's trying to get more out of these lines than I think he can really take credit for.
Yeah, it's a little bit like the Elgin scene that you griped about earlier, where he's like, when the first time I saw the lady in the kimono, I remembered my dream and it saved the town.
Yeah. Oh God.
You know, it's.
Oh God. Yeah, that
Yeah,
fucking
we're
shit.
taking our lives back was a bit South Park test too much.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, we proved it by me finding the talismans and we used them. Like that proved that we could fight back. Like, really? Like, okay.
One obvious thing I was thinking from the perspective of just someone in some red shirt listening to this, just hearing, not knowing the other scenes, but just hearing what he said. Okay, so Boyd just came out of the diner and ran up the whole town and said, Fatima's missing. Something told him that we're not going to find her in time, but she's close. And Boyd wants us to go search for her. Is this a setup for us to get killed? Like, this seems like, why are we listening to the monster voice?
That's a good point that no
one
makes out loud. They simply murmur in agreement.
They just murmur in agreement, yeah. Anyway, just thought that from just this scene here, someone could say, wait a minute, this seems dubious. Because he could have said, hey, Fatima's missing, we need to find her, the end, right? But bringing in the creature adds a whole other layer to it, which is odd.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. All right. Well, we'll come back to this.
And then Elgin the snake snaking on up to
Ellis.
I
know. Like, oh, you're having a town meeting. Oh, that's nice. What you doing over here?
I was gonna, I almost wanted to say, God, I wish somebody would have said, whoever, if somebody's evolved and taken Fatima, they probably aren't here, or they came late, So it's like, oh, look who's coming late. Where have you been this whole time? No one's probably seen you, since yesterday.
Wow, Elgin, everybody else looked surprised when we said that she was missing.
And you looked satisfied and happy.
Yeah.
You were just nodding as if confronted with information you already knew.
Speaking of, Jade's not at the meeting. I feel like there's a different version where it's like, why isn't Jade here? Maybe he had something to do with it. I'm glad they don't do that, but they could
put her in a bottle. Put her in a tree. Oh, and last thing I want to say about this scene is I really appreciate the fact that destroyed house next to the diner is still
Still
there.
there. Yeah.
It's so cool that that's just the set and it's just a destroyed house and it has to stay there forever.
It's just gonna be there. Yeah, they're not gonna haul it away. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's just gonna sit there for the rest of the show, basically.
Yeah, you never see that on a TV show, just like
Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. Yeah, the plane wreckage was like too expensive or something, so they had to like write
Hmm.
a scenario where it's like it washed up, with the tide or whatever.
Yes.
Like, oh, it's
And
gone
that was
now.
the second most incredulous thing that ever happened on the show.
Indeed, indeed. All right. So you ready? All right. So the next scene we got Fatima. She's buttoning that dress that Elgin brought for her in the root cellar. And then she takes her boots off. She collapses in pain, but she lands on something. There's a
Mm.
little metal loop in the floor attached to a hatch. Fatima starts to
Uh-oh.
dig it up. Oh man, we got Dharma in
Oh
here. I
no. Here
hope
we
y'all are
go.
ready. I gotta give him credit for this. I didn't see this coming.
No.
This was like the first thing in the episode where I was like, oh, weird. I didn't think you were gonna go
Hmm.
there. Like that's a weird like we've already got you walk like so there's a hatch outside
Yes.
to get to the root cellar.
This is
Then there's a
Inception.
door. Then there's an armoire in front of another door, and now
Yeah.
there's a fucking. This reminds me of like
Yeah,
the
there's a whole room behind the armoire, and then
yeah.
now there's a door in the floor. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it reminds me of like the Dharma house that had like Ben's secret room, but then in the secret room there was an extra passageway that
Yeah.
could take you to that chamber where you summon the
Yeah.
smoke monster.
So here's my
Yeah.
question. My question, of course, is knowing what you know about this place, that there's a secret room in the root cellar, which is craziness. Someone living down there, crazy. Like, why would you want to go in that door? Why would you want to open that? Why would
I mean,
you
I think
think
she's
it's
just trying
safer
to
to go
escape.
down in there? I know, but why would you think that's where you can escape? How could that be a place to escape to?
Pure
Why would you want to
desperation,
open?
I think.
Oh my goodness. No, I get it,
Yeah.
but
It.
I would see
Yeah.
that
What
and
do you?
go, no, this far, no further. I'm not opening that.
Yeah. They could have gone that way with it. That's sort of something like that happens later. But yeah, it's a fair point. But I want to know what's in it, so I want her to
Well,
go
me
in,
too.
even if it is a bad idea.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you think it just goes into the tunnels, the caves?
That was my first thought, but we'll see
I
maybe
Okay.
know.
in the next
Yeah,
episode because
I
it's
like that.
it's it's open ended here. We will get a little more with it later. All right, ready to continue? All right,
Hmm.
so we got Donna and Akopsta looking for Fatima. Oh, this is where we start our little two scenes.
Yeah.
Like we get these pairs. We just
Yeah.
keep going pair to pair to pair to pair, and they have little scenes, and then we go on. Anyway, all right, so Donna and Akopsta look for Fatima. Akopsta wants answers about the voices from Sarah. She is skeptical, suspecting Sarah because she murdered people and she probably set this whole thing up so she could murder Fatima. And, all right, Akopsta, I'm sure that's right. Donna is sure that she's not responsible. Akopsta wonders why the voices weren't more helpful and suspects that Donna is hiding something. She wants explanations. But Donna says, well, do it later when we have time. And she asks Akopsa for trust and help, and Akopsa agrees.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Nothing much to say to that
Yeah,
except yeah.
it's
Yeah.
valid questions. I do think like the voices are clearly questionable, but yeah, suspecting Sarah's just annoying, so I just want to move on because like we all know it's false, so
Yeah.
I don't want to waste time on it.
It's like a Copsta is just she spends so much time stating the obvious. It's like, yeah, we don't trust the voices. We just think that they are telling some true information in this situation to
Uh-huh.
terrorize us.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I mean, she's stating the obvious. Her approach just is just off-putting, and the thing is like no one, again, if this was 3 seasons ago, okay, but like no one has time for this energy from her, you know, like
Right.
Yeah.
especially the people who are bigger characters who have like 4 or 5 storylines happening at the same time that they're like coping with scene to scene,
Yeah.
you know, like Donna doesn't have time to deal with this.
Yeah.
And I do want to point out just a lot. I hate writing like this when this happens all the time. But when there's like this weird conflation of ideas, she says, "If you want me to believe that you are good at your job, I need you to trust me. I need you to help me." And I'm like, does that make sense? If you want to believe you're good at your job, shouldn't she do something to show she's good at her job? Like, just give me your
Yeah.
trust, and that'll prove to me that you're a good cop. If you just
Yeah,
trust
yeah,
me,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like I got what you're trying to say, but I just hate lines like that where it's like the
Yeah.
logic doesn't
It
like
doesn't
sit
make
well with my
sense.
brain.
Yeah.
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 Agreed.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't write it down because it didn't work. But yeah, you're right. All right. You ready? All right.
Oh.
So we got Boyd talking to Kenny about being at Colony House. Boyd raises the issue of the deputy thing and Boyd's hiding of Sarah's role in his father's death. Boyd tries to explain that it was a hard decision. He reveals that the Parkinson's is getting worse. He proposes that Kenny needs to take over when he can't look after this place anymore. He doesn't trust the cops to. She's a hothead. All right, she's too wild. She can't handle the responsibility, Kenny. We need the level-headed Kenny to run this town, not crazy a cop stuff. Anyway, Kenny doesn't want the badge, meaning
His badge.
Boyd's badge, but he agrees to be
Mhm.
deputy again.
Yeah.
Which
Long
is
time coming.
yeah, it's actually not what I
Way too
expected,
long time coming.
but it does make sense. Okay. Next scene. Okay. So we have Jade hanging bottles on a tree next to a building. It's a building. Which one is it? Who knows? And maybe it doesn't matter. Anyway, on a lower part of the roof, he sees Christopher and Jasper. Jade asks for something new, and Jasper makes his roar sound. And this freaks out Jade. Henry arrives and asks what's going on. Henry references Miranda's tree, asking what it's for. Jade is impatient. Henry reveals that Fatima's missing. Jade skipped the Bell meeting. And Henry wants to talk about Victor. So we'll get a follow up on that a little later. So yeah, this is the big appearance of Christopher and Jasper, and like yeah, it doesn't seem to have a point. So I don't know what to do with it at all.
Yeah.
I
I
almost
don't think it means anything.
Yeah, I was gonna say I almost feel like they just had a twofer with that actor. You know, they
Yeah.
needed him for that other scene,
Mm-hmm.
the flashback scene, and they're like, we got him on set today. Let's just shoot a thing here with Jade Walker. You know what I mean? It's like he's already
Sure.
here, so let's just have him be the Vision or whatever, do something.
It's like
Uh,
on Deep Space Nine when like they have like Wei Yun in an episode and then they have Brunt in the next episode.
yes, yep.
It's like you're already here. You might as well like give us some of both.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
Yeah, we talked
oh,
earlier about the bottle tree and
Mhm.
you know why he's
Yeah.
doing this.
Yeah, the mystery of the bottle tree
Um,
remains.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it also we were talking earlier about how Henry has a pretty unique reaction to this place. He's acclimated really fast, and this also shows that when Jade says, "Oh, I'm not talking to anybody," he goes and he just like unpacks what he really meant by that. Like, okay, you're talking to something that's not really there or a vision or whatever, and he
Mhm.
understands that that's just a normal thing that's happening to people here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I will say that, there have been some vague insinuations about Jade being, I mean, or at least like the viewer can possibly be led to compare Jade to Christopher since he also had
Hmm.
visions. He also, was obsessed with the symbol and made this notebook and so on.
you
Yeah.
know. And so I feel like maybe there's like maybe they're building to something there. That's the only hope I can hang on this, but the actual content here is virtually nothing. He knows who Christopher is, he knows who Jasper is. So what? They appeared. I mean, it's like, yeah, I don't know what to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe you're right, Claude, that it was just like, well, we got this actor, let's like just do another vision scene because we haven't done one of those with Jade in a while. I feel like his last
Mm-hmm.
big vision, unless I'm forgetting, was the thing at the cabin area when he saw the guy with the thing through his
Yeah.
eye, you know?
Which
Uh
clearly seemed to suggest nothing.
and not yeah, it absolutely went nowhere and still hasn't. And Cabin Thumper is a mystery to this day. And even if that's even related to what Jade saw, it might not be. I have no idea. All right.
Yeah.
Are you ready? All right. So Victor arrives at the bottle faraway tree and oh my god, I'm getting angry already. Okay. Deep breath, deep breath. Here we go. Victor arrives at the bottle faraway tree and starts chopping. The deep ass voice boy in white arrives saying, "You can't do that. It's important." Victor asks, "Why won't you help us?" Boy in white says, "I tried with Christopher. I think you need to learn for yourselves. It's the only way you'll understand." Oh my god, I'm getting so mad. Okay. Fuck off, boy in white. Anyway, sorry, I wrote that in parentheses. Victor says that he's taller ghost boy in white now. Boy in white says everything's changing now. Like, okay, yeah, like TV production, that's something that's not
Yeah.
changing, which is to say, when you produce a show that runs over weeks, but it actually takes years, the characters age too much. That's the explanation. I feel like this is nonsense, but anyway. Victor asks if that's bad and asks how to help, saying the boy in white is supposed to be his friend. Boy in white says he is Victor's friend, reiterates, "Don't cut down that tree," and walks away. Victor yells for him to come back. Thanks, boy in white. What a great visit.
Helpful as ever.
Don't cut down that tree. That's literally the only thing he said of any note.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
Lots
I
to
tried to
pick
help you
apart here.
once. Like, you tried with this one guy and you gave
Uh-huh.
up. It's like, that's what you were saying
Well,
earlier. It's
I gotta
annoying.
say, if you haven't already realized this, to make it more angry, is he could
Oh,
have
no.
said, "I tried" with Tabitha,
Yeah, he
because
could
that's what I just
have.
did recently.
Yeah, and that's another example that the whole lighthouse incident stuff, like
Yeah.
not coming up
Yeah.
mysteriously,
Yeah.
even
Or
though it's like they want us to forget about it.
it's like, or I'm trying right now. That's why I pushed Tabitha out of the lighthouse. I have a
Yeah,
plan and it's working. Your dad came back here to help you finish what you need to do.
yeah.
Like
He could have
nothing. We
said
get
that
like
too.
nothing. We get
Nothing.
nothing out of him.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Nothing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the you
I
look different now. Like I don't have an issue with the production, things, but what I don't like actually is the fact that he says, Victor says you look different now. Okay, got it, fine, acknowledge the obvious. But then the boy in white says you do too. Or he says so do you, suggesting yeah, Victor grew up all of these years. But
yeah.
like this is nothing new. Like the boy in white looks different from what he looked like recently,
Yeah.
not from just 40 years
It's a
ago, 30
dodge.
years
Yeah.
ago. Yeah, so I feel like they shouldn't have had him come back at him and say, "So do you," because this like, oh yeah, you grew up, Victor. You're an old man now. It's like that's
Yeah.
not what he's talking about,
Victor
boy in
doesn't look
white.
different than he did 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah.
So like, yeah, that's
But
yeah.
I do like the fact that the whole idea of everything changing is coming back. I do like the fact that they're able to just lump the actor aging into the idea of things
Mm-hmm.
changing. The fact that it snowed in an episode and they're like, well, things are changing.
Yeah.
Like, clearly I think it just snowed because wherever they were filming it snowed and it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Um, and so I do, but I like the fact that it seems like they're leading to something important with things changing. So that's
Sure.
at least something good they're coming back to. That's some consistency.
Yeah. I don't know how long the show's gonna go on, but this is gonna be the teenager in white if they don't like change the casting. I kind
Get
of
grow out of
assumed
those
they would do
pants.
that, but
Yeah.
but yeah, it's
And I'll
like
just also say, he's also fixated on helping them. He isn't like the kimono lady who said, "Help me,"
right,
right? But that's the
yeah,
thing too. Like again, like if he's a trapped spirit or something, he's not like, "I need you guys to help me get free," or he's like, "I'm trying to help you guys, but like also I tried one time a long time ago, it didn't work out." But also didn't Christopher, he told Christopher, but like, and Christopher didn't want to go, but the victor's mom went. Does that not
yeah.
count? Why
I
not
guess
keep telling
not.
other people?
Does he
Like,
even know that that happened? I feel like he should, but
I
I feel like
feel
he
like
should.
the bigger point is the one that you already made, which is that you just completely fail to acknowledge the Tabitha stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's driving me crazy that we've gotten this far and
yeah.
like since
This should
Tabitha
have been the
came back.
scene. This should have been the scene where Victor is mad at the boy in white. He says, "You're always showing up, and you claim you want to help us, but you've never helped us. You sent Tabitha to bring my dad back here, and now he sees that I'm a failure. Like they should have tied it back into that part of it at least.
Yeah,
And have been like, why did you do that? Why did you bring him here just to be stuck here? Whatever. At least,
yeah,
and he could do the thing like, Man in Black, and Boy White says, "I didn't bring your dad here." Like, if he wants to like disclaim responsibility, they could
yeah,
at least do that. But
right.
yeah, I wish some other stuff had happened in this scene, to say the
Me
least.
too. I was so desperate for the boy in white to come back, and then he comes back and does this, and I'm like, you know what? I wish he didn't come back.
Oh, why don't you go away, Boy White? You're not my friend
Get out of
anymore.
here. I don't like you. Yeah, no, seriously, I'm mad.
Yeah, what are you
I'm
gonna do?
mad.
What
I
are you
was
gonna
already
do?
mad at Boy in White, but like this made it worse.
Yeah.
It's just like, don't give me your
I just
bullshit
realized I just
rationalizations.
realized the boy in white is your Eugene.
He is. He
And you're
is.
holding on to hope, and if he disappoints you, you're gonna be done with this show.
You know, I wouldn't go that far yet, but I would say that's not out of the realm of possibility, depending on what actually happens.
Yeah.
I think there's still room to save it at this point. It hasn't passed the point of no return, but yeah, could that day come? It absolutely could,
Hmm.
100%. All right, well, ready to move on from this scene.
We've
Do
still
it.
got a lot of
All
scenes.
right, well, in the next scene, Elgin tells a story about a friend. He's with Ellis, by the way, about a friend that went missing and was found when he was a kid. Ellis wonders how that will help in this situation, and and reveals that he lost his mom there. Elgin didn't know. Ellis doesn't want to go through that again. I guess he's still on that maybe Fatima's just like lost her mind thing. It's like he doesn't
Hmm.
he's not privy to the new information, which Elgin could just tell him, but of course he won't. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
are you ready for the next
Oh yeah.
scene? All
Yeah.
right. Jim and Ethan arrive at the RV. They enter. Fatima's not there. What? They talk about old times. Jim blames himself for what happened with the accident and Ethan's injury. Ethan says it wasn't his fault. Jim says, why not?
I hate
Um,
this scene.
Jim turns it Jim turns it around on Ethan, blaming himself for Julie. Jim says they are doing their best and the place wants them scared, but they should keep on trying. And they hug it out. And then Thomas comes on the radio. Ethan wants to
Yeah.
go because it's not Thomas. They leave. Thomas says, "Where you going, Dad?"
Yeah.
Okay, this is an example I was going to bring up earlier where like they clearly are monitoring
Yeah, yeah.
this by having Thomas cut
Yeah.
in on the radio here.
Yeah.
Like there's no one listening, obviously, that we see, you
Yeah.
know? So it's like, how else do they know to do it at this, So anyway, This is what I had in mind. It's funny how they just like ignore it. They're just like,
It's why is it even happening if this is their reaction to it? Like
yeah,
even Ethan's like, whatever. Like that's
yeah,
not a good job. Like it's not even working on the kid. So I'm like,
yeah,
what's the point? I thought we were done with that when he took the phone off the shelf and
yeah,
said that's not Thomas. Like
yeah.
and actually shared it. And so basically everybody knew it was happening. It wasn't really a secret anymore. I thought
Yep.
they were done.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me
it's
too.
like
But I was wrong.
Ethan is accidentally succeeding at what Boyd was, telling them all to do, which is like, don't let this place get to you, or
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
let them win. It's like Ethan's one of the more mature characters at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I found this like Jim's face. Like Jim is on a redemption arc in this episode, but his face in that scene was so irritating.
Redemption, please.
Yes, redemption.
TM.
Yeah, no, he's trying to, he's like
No, I understand the meaning of the scene.
Yeah.
I just find it annoying.
It's fair, but I find this less annoying than when Jim was being actively annoying.
Certainly.
So I'm gonna give him credit for that,
Okay.
even though I see what you mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Ready to
All right, let's go to our next couple.
Hey, we got like barely any scenes left. All right, here we go. Tabitha and Julie arrive at Victor's truck. Fatima's not there. Julie is worried about the future. Tabitha says, "Whoa, we'll find Fatima." Julie reveals that she doesn't think she was dreaming. She says, "It was almost like I went somewhere." Oh boy, I'm about to get mad again. 1 second. Here's what she said. Ready for it, y'all? This is the description. Remember what we saw last episode? Here's what it was. 1 second, I'm in this weird chamber and the trans people are there screaming. And then there was this guy chained to a wall. And then I'm in these tunnels and I heard you talking to Victor. I tried to find you, but your voice kept getting farther away. And then I heard those children saying Ankui. She kept thinking, what if I never make it back? No one ever finds me, etc., etc. Tabitha says, you'll never be alone here. And they hug it out. Then Tabitha sees an Ankui kid watching, and she waves for them to follow. The Ankui kid waves for them to follow. Tabitha takes Julie, and they follow. Yeah, so I got really bothered by this characterization of what happened. Like Julie doesn't mention so much of what she experienced. Like there was a guy chained to a wall. Is that all that happened, Julie? Really? Was that it?
Mm-hmm.
Like this is where I was getting lost. But I was like, no, there was more to it than that. Like, why are you? And then I'm like, wait, did that not matter? And the only point of that whole thing was just to answer the question of who threw down a rope. And now that they did, if they're done, like that's all there was. There was a guy chained to a wall. Oh well. Anyway, like it's like I was like, God damn it, why won't anybody say anything interesting about the stuff they go through? Like they take it to the most boring place possible every time. Yeah. God.
I mean I agree with the fact they take it to the most boring place every time, because even in here, like I don't mind that. Well, let's see. I do mind it, but I understand that they truncated like the sort of the series of events into kind of these like bullet points. But the thing I take issue with is when it ended up just being about her own personal feeling of being alone.
Yeah.
And not get to what I thought could be a connection, even if they were going to do the bullet points and jump over the fact she talked to Martin, jump over the fact that she threw down the rope and that was Boyd. But like when she's like, I heard your voice. Yeah, exactly.
She traveled through time and doesn't acknowledge it. I'm sorry.
Well,
go ahead.
That's my point is when she said, I heard you talking to Victor, I thought she was going to say, make it clear that this was during the time when you and Victor were in the caves.
Yeah.
Like if she had said something that Tabitha remember that she said before, like I heard you guys say blah blah blah, and then she go, wait, like, were you time traveling? And then as soon as she starts to make the connection, she gets distracted with the Ankui kid, and they go follow, and then it's like, okay, they ran, they knocked on the door, but they didn't open, or they opened the door, but they didn't walk through or whatever. But they didn't even do that part of it.
No, that's a running thing in this episode. Once they split off into their little pairs, they talk about things that are interesting and connected to the mysteries,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't talk about the interesting mystery oriented aspects of it. It is all just about personal
They
stuff.
talk around
Yeah.
things that are interesting.
It's all just a vehicle
Yeah.
for some kind of personal
They're all narcissistic. That's what I'm finding. They're all just the world's biggest
yeah.
Maybe
narcissists.
that's why they were brought there. They need
I
to
think that's
stop
what.
being such
Yeah, they need to get over
narcissists.
themselves.
Yeah, I have to think that at some point, either in a scene with Tabitha or in a scene with Boyd, there's got to be some kind of acknowledgement that, wait a second, what you're describing, I saw that too. I think I was the
Mm-hmm.
person in that chimney.
Yeah.
Or like I just think that has to come back at some point because on this episode has become, and this season has become all about the baby or the pregnancy, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point they're gonna get reinterested in the mysteries. Yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that's
For it
gonna
to come
take.
down to, the only thing I could think was, what if I'm all alone? That I didn't expect that to be what she was worried
Yeah,
about.
I agree. I think that felt like a cop out. And if they're gonna go with that, I would have liked it. I would have liked for her to expand on or be more specific, maybe about that,
Yes.
and say like, I've been retreating into myself ever since the cicada
Mm-hmm.
thing, and this was a turning point for me. I don't know, like at least take it a little more specific. It just felt really generic.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah. I can't even imagine like and honestly like in a way Lost did this too. Like they travel through time, they go through all this stuff and like what did it really come to, you know?
Well, yeah, and I just
Mm-hmm.
also want to say that, Tabitha is really interested in this place. She's
Yeah.
not like Jim. So I kind of want there to be a scene when all of this shakes out where she's like, all right, so when we were, you remember when we were out looking for Fatima, you told me that you saw this. I feel like Tabitha should circle back
Mm-hmm.
to this at some point. I don't know that she will, but
It just they leave so much on the table for even
yeah,
for Julie to even say, I saw the three of us there, me, Randall, and Marielle. We were screaming,
yeah,
and like, oh, like the cicada attack. Like I think that's where we went. Like
yeah,
that'd be huge, you know.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like I had the same feeling when I was in this ruins place that I did when the cicadas attacked. Like I think I
yeah.
went back there or something. Just some connection would be nice because they did all the work to set it up, but they don't actually like make the connection. And it seems
Yeah.
like that might be all we get is this brief part of a story, which is just her going, "Oh, I'm lonely," and then it's like, "Okay, you won't be alone." So she'll never have to bring this up again as long as she's
Yeah.
not feeling lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does seem like the conclusion they want to draw, and it's like, really, you did all that just for this? Like, you could have shown Julie being lonely, like many
hmm
other simpler ways. Like, I don't know.
And I think they did show her being lonely. She's
Sure.
smoking
Yeah.
pot by
Yeah,
herself, and
yeah, yeah,
she was doing things, but
yeah.
um, yeah, yeah, I didn't really like that part. And then the Ankui kid showing up and waving them over. Again, it's like y'all just can do whatever you want.
I don't know what the
There's
fuck
no
they're
rules.
doing. It's not obvious at all. And I put it with the voices too. Like it's like the
Yeah.
voices are telling him about Fatima. This Kui kid is like waving him over to the root
So
cellar.
all this time they could have been waving her places. How come y'all didn't wave her to
Yeah.
the lighthouse?
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. Were they even was she supposed to go to light? I'm still unclear on that. Is that the
Yeah.
tower? Why didn't they get rescued? Blah 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 blah. Oh my god. I could go on all day, but I won't.
All
Um
right.
all right, sorry. Are you
Ready to
Yep.
move forward? Okay. So, uh,
Are you?
where am I? Here we go. Henry laments to Jade, starting over with Victor. Henry compares Jade to Victor. He tries to turn it around on Jade, saying, "What would you do if your dad showed up?" Jade pretty much avoids that question and says, "You can't fix Victor. He's the product of this place." Jade then leaves to go back to the bar to, quote, pretend he's being productive.
Classic.
Mhm. The only thing I take issue with in this scene is I loved how Jade defended Victor and reoriented Henry on what was really happening here. Tarzan in the jungle is a good metaphor for that. But I didn't like it didn't make sense to me when he said, "You're the guy who comes along and makes it feel like an asshole because he doesn't know how to use a fork." I feel like Victor. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I just didn't feel like there was a bunch of scenes of
Yeah.
Victor really feeling that way from Henry.
It's
I
like a
thought
different
he
show
actually was
happens.
pretty. Yeah, it's like he was actually pretty sensitive.
Yeah.
I thought for
Yeah.
all of those scenes. So I'm like,
Definitely.
actually, like I like that sentiment makes sense, but I'm like, I don't think that's what we saw.
It's not. It doesn't line up. It's like Henry went through this off screen or something. I don't know. He did go to the bar, and it's sort of like the after. I guess what they're maybe trying to do is like the aftermath of going with Victor into the cave to find this
Mm-hmm.
ventriloquist dummy
Yeah,
that he
that's
wanted to
it.
talk to him, and then he's up all night yelling at the ventriloquist
Yeah.
dummy.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like where he took a turn and was like, "Oh man, Victor's really lost it." And
Yeah.
like I think that's what they're trying to do, but
Yeah.
I agree
Yeah.
that like there isn't a scene where he was like unfairly judgmental of Victor, like certainly not to
Mm-hmm.
his
He's
face.
Or
kind of
telling Victor what
judgmental.
he can do or can't do. Like, hey, Victor, no, I'm your dad. You need to do this or that, or
Yeah,
this isn't safe. So, I mean, he went with him in the caves way,
yeah,
past any normal
That's true.
boundary.
definitely.
That's true. I do feel like he is judgmental about about Jasper. But I don't think
Yeah.
that it makes Victor feel judged.
It
Well,
Yeah, I got that. Yeah.
maybe, but yeah, I don't know.
it
Also, he was right about that. Jasper had nothing to say.
Well,
He
yeah,
was right about that. But yeah, it doesn't seem like Victor's I mean Victor's conflict in this episode has nothing to do with Henry.
right.
And I think that's what it felt like this scene was trying to make us think like, oh, Henry's out here moping about Victor being upset. But that's not why Victor's upset.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's like there could have been a show where this all fit, but it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, like Henry's reacting to like a different thing than what we're actually seeing. And so it's just, yeah, it's awkward. I don't know. I don't know what to do with
Yeah.
that.
All
Didn't
right.
annoy me as much as the previous scene, but still. All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
Speaking of annoying scenes,
Speaking of annoying scenes, here we go. Els and Elgin arrive at the Brundles. Elgin asks about Fatima bringing him there, or talks about Fatima bringing him there, being his proxy colony house. Elgin apologizes about what happened to Ellis's mom. El-
proxy. Sorry.
That's what he said.
Remember that whole thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. There's a lot of like formalities that aren't even remotely addressed anymore. Um Elgin says Fatima will be okay. Um Elgin says stop. He says he has to tell Ellis something. Oh good, finally. He's gonna tell him that I got Fatima locked in the root cellar, right? Nope.
Yeah.
Nope, of course not. He talks about his dream on the bus, and since then, he feels like something is trying to talk to him. He says maybe this is happening for a reason. And
Oh.
and Fatima is doing something to help them. It could be a good thing, the baby and everything. Ellis wonders what this has to do with the baby. Elgin says, I think she's going to be okay. Ellis takes it in and says, let's keep looking. Yeah, so this is yet another scene of like vagueness and like refusing to say like the thing that would give the scene content. I think I get the conflict here more so. You know, but like I don't know. It's like it felt like the scene could go in a direction where Ellis starts getting suspicious, and like I feel like the way the actor played it, it was like mild
Yes.
suspicion.
I
But
felt like the actor played it with mild suspicion, but I think he is not thinking that someone took Fatima.
it
I think
doesn't.
if
Yeah,
yeah, and that's the thing is they're not thinking about it as an abduction, so they're just
yeah,
not looking for a suspect.
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Which is probably the number one reason why they wrote it that the voices said something took her. So no one is suspicious of a person.
Right, right,
That's a
right.
good point. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean I really think he believes that something good is going to come out of this. But I
Mm-hmm.
don't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not convinced. I certainly don't think it's gonna save them all. I
No.
mean, what else will happen? I mean, maybe something good will come of it, but it's clear that what he means is they'll all go home because that's the thing he's been promised.
Yeah.
You know. So, but he's like trying to reassure. It's just so awkward. This whole thing, like, it's like,
I
let me.
thought he was gonna take him to the baby. I
Me
thought when
too.
he said, "Hey, do you want to pair up?" Cool. As they were walking, I thought he was gonna
Yeah.
explain
Yep.
to them, explain to him what the
Me too.
situation was, and
Yeah. I
hey,
thought he
man,
might.
this is why I took her, and this is how it is, and let me go take you to her, and yeah, they didn't go that way. Yeah, he's very clumsy in his line because really what he's trying to do is say, "Hey, I just want you to stay hopeful," but he went about it in the worst way ever to basically trying to stay hopeful. Like yeah, you don't have anything to worry about, but yeah, he fumbled all over that because he is guilty. I love his thing about like the whole thing about the grandma and that whole story because it was like, what are you talking about? Um, but and then him bringing the baby into it, I think, is when Ellis got suspicious.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Mentioning the
yeah.
baby was a mistake.
Yep. All
Ugh.
right.
All right. Are you ready? This is sort of like the final sequence here. It's like a series
Yep.
of things, but I'm just gonna like dive through here and we'll get to the end of the episode. You ready for that?
Wow. Let's do it.
All right. So Fatima has uncovered the hatch. She tries to pull it up unsuccessfully, and then Kimono Lady appears. Ankui Girl leads Tabitha and Julie through the forest. Fatima asks Kimono Lady, "What do you want?" And she says, "Shh."
Thanks.
Then she approaches Fatima and covers her mouth, keeping her quiet. Tabitha and Julie arrive at the root cellar. The doors open. Tabitha says someone is down there. She approaches and starts to descend. As she touches the outer hatch, she has another sort of weird trance moment, just like earlier, freezing. Julie breaks the spell. Then Tabitha goes into the root cellar. Kimono Lady keeps Fatima quiet. Tabitha turns on the light and finds Victor standing in a corner, like the end of the Blair Witch Project, and asks what he's doing there. Victor says this is where it happened, where his mother left them there. He thought there was a reason he lived. He was the reason she died. Tabitha says it wasn't your fault, and they hug it out. Tabitha has a vision of Miranda leaving the kids in the root cellar, and she runs outside gasping. And then we see Miranda running through the forest at night. She finds the bottle tree, but Smiley the monster is there and attacks her. Tabitha screams and tells Julie not to touch her. Victor and Julie try to comfort her as we zoom out. That's the end of the episode. Thank you. Good night. Fiend.
All
Wow.
right.
Yeah, isn't this fucking weird? I'm like, I'm not entirely uninterested in what's going on here, but I was baffled by this ending because I'm like, yeah, I that's what I
That's
thought
pretty much what you
happened.
expected.
Right? Because
Yeah.
it's like, well, Victor said he found her body there by the tree. So she didn't make it to the
Yeah.
tree. What killed her? I mean, the most obvious thing that could have
Yeah.
killed her.
Yeah. I think. Sorry, go ahead.
And so like this definitely bolsters my assumption that the massacre was the monsters. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to suspect that maybe what happened was more like what happened with Sarah leaving the door open, that like the voices got to Christopher and he told the monsters where the people were, or he
Mm.
led them there, or he left a
Mm-hmm.
clue or something, and that's how they found them all, and like they were all running around trying to scatter, and that's why they were like laid out through the town. That's what this made me think, like, because they just show it was a simple monster attack, you
Yeah.
know? Uh, but like, what is the point of this? I just, it's like, did this really reveal anything new? I don't know. I'm confused. Usually the ending of an episode will have like some significant development, and I don't see it. I don't know. What am I missing, y'all? Go.
Yeah, I mean, I was disappointed by this because I was holding out hope that we were going to find out that Miranda had made it into the faraway tree,
Mm-hmm.
had done something of interest, and then somehow
Mm-hmm.
still ended up back at the location of the faraway tree killed. um
Mm.
because that could happen. The
Yeah.
faraway trees can, I mean, they're unpredictable. um so I was disappointed in that sense, because it was like, oh, so you mean like the most boring thing possible happened to her, like she simply failed to
Mm-hmm.
make it
Mm-hmm.
into the tree. So that was really disappointing to me. It also seemed a little ridiculous that she wouldn't have been able to like time it so that she made it there before sundown. I
She
just,
stopped. Well, yeah.
yeah, like,
And why the urgency? If the kids didn't need to be saved last night,
yeah,
why can't you wait till tomorrow to morning
exactly.
to do
Get an
it?
early
What was the?
start.
I
Yeah.
think that's what's a little strange from this, that because they keep going back to that scene of her leaving, and it's like, now that we can keep analyzing it, it's like, and we know that she left because of what Victor told her. It's like, what was the urgency though?
Yeah.
Like, why did she have to leave that second?
Yeah.
What I took from this ending, that the thing that I think that they're trying to say ta-da to, is this idea that Tabitha is seeing the memories of the
Yes.
previously like chosen people.
Yes.
So
I
she's
agree.
getting, yeah, so she's tapping to the memories of the person who was chosen before her, and that's what she talked about with Henry in that scene in the basement at Henry's house.
Yes.
If I, yeah, let me think, I have it here somewhere.
Yes. So if this is her like really um like living into this not prophecy is not the right word, but this parallel with
Yeah.
Miranda. So Miranda was seeing, visions from
Mm-hmm.
the island, and then now, so now, yeah, I mean, I think it's the what's interesting about it is the potential that we're going to see more Tabitha flashes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the scene that Henry is his episode 2, season 3, and he's talking about Miranda, and he says she said that of all the people who would find their way to this place, she was the one who had been chosen to free the children, but she wasn't the first. Others were chosen before her. She could see each and every one. All of them had failed.
Yeah.
So not that is the line that I think we're seeing the proof of here, is like Miranda also had visions of the previous chosen people dying or something, or failing to.
Hmm.
Okay.
So
That
maybe then
makes
Yeah,
sense.
Tabitha will see scenes of other failed.
possibly. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, exactly. And maybe that'll help them figure out what they need to do to
Yeah.
succeed.
Yeah.
Um, But none of them he goes on to say none of them had ever set the children free, and none of them had ever gone home.
Yeah.
And he says, now that you've seen the children, they've called to you, so I guess you've been chosen now. So this is all just for what those lines say. We're seeing the proof of that. But I did wish, I thought it was going to be a sort of reveal that actually she did make it through the tree, and that what Victor thought he saw wasn't really his mom. It was the monsters tricked him and put the mom's dress on another victim that was mutilated. He couldn't tell, whatever. And then last thing I'll say about this ending scene is that when Smiley ran and Miranda, it proved that they can run and they choose to walk.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
That's actually a good point. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that did happen. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. Why wouldn't they be able to run?
Yeah. Why wouldn't they? They have legs.
It's like
They do.
But what that suggests is that he was particularly motivated to stop her from getting into the tree.
Yeah.
Not just to kill her for the reasons why they normally kill people.
Yeah. That's true.
That's a really interesting point.
Yeah.
Yeah, there might be something there. I forgot that Miranda had visions of the others. That does sort of make it fit. But I feel like it would have been more interesting if Tabitha had visions of some of the others also, besides Miranda, the one we already know about. Then it would have made the point.
It makes sense if she was the last one, you get the visions of the one before you, but maybe the next vision you have will be the one before that.
Yeah. Maybe it'll happen in the next episode, and then I'll shut up about it.
But I guess but okay, going back to the Ankui kid leading her here.
Yeah.
Well, why? Was it to find Fatima, or was it to have this flashback experience?
God, or both.
I
don't know.
Why is the party at the root cellar? Everybody's here.
It is crazy how many people are there, and yet none of them has a clue.
For completely different reasons.
Yep.
Yeah, Victor doing the Blair Witch thing was crazy.
Yep.
I didn't think that was him. The way they shot
I
that,
know.
and he didn't turn around for a while.
Fuck.
I thought oh God, that's not him.
Yeah,
I did too. It's a creepy shot. I mean, it works.
Yeah.
It makes sense that they would reuse it, but it's like, what do you do? Like, what's your deal?
This is where it happened, right here in this corner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it really it's got to be a reference to Elgin's line, "Is this really where it happens?" Like, the lines are just so similar. No?
He can't be talking about, is this really where Miranda left Victor when he was a child?
No, I don't think that, but just that the lines are almost identical.
Yeah.
There's what's the
there.
significance of this place?
Mm-hmm.
And does that have to do with what's under the trapdoor?
Okay. It might be more of a a thematic clue.
Yeah, I was thinking it was thematic
rather than a specific connection.
Yeah.
I mean, the place clearly has some significance at various points, but many places do. So I'm not really sure what's special about this place yet, but.
I will say that it is a kind of stone built building, which is similar to the ruins, so it could have significance in terms of being from the same era.
Yeah, that's true.
There was definitely a Bronze Age trapdoor. Archaeologist.
Yeah, they hadn't really formulated any metal alloys yet, so definitely bronze. I think is right. That's my metallurgical analysis tells me that that's Bronze Age.
Mm-hmm. Totally. She needs one of those bronze crowbars to open that.
That's what I was thinking. No tools in there. That's what you need to open that thing.
Yeah, speaking of tools, can I just throw away a line and say I didn't believe for a second that axe Victor got was in the cabinet, the pantry at the Colony House. Is that where you keep an axe?
I actually wanted
to keep an axe in the tool shed.
They previously showed that axe in there. when Donna hacks away.
Oh, you're
the
right.
floor.
She grabbed the axe
That's
from in there
right.
too.
I'm like,
That's right,
hey
Walton. I stand
guys,
corrected.
Yeah, you're just wrong. That's where they keep the axe. Deal with
That's
it.
where the axe goes.
that's
Yeah,
the
you're right.
accent plays.
Yeah, I was just asking a question, all right?
Oh.
I had an
Yeah.
axe to grind.
Oh.
I'm not saying it should be there. I'm just saying that they've previously
They
established. that
did.
it's
They
stored
did.
there.
I forgot
Yeah,
about that
that's fair.
actually. Donna's big thing. I'm gonna chop the floor because I'm mad. Yeah. Yeah.
The planks that they found to replace those are perfect.
Oh my god.
It's
You couldn't even
seamless
tell.
workmanship.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, can I also say something else? Because you made me think of the planks. I was just thinking, like, yeah, this place just magically, regenerated the planks for the courtesy
Yeah,
of
there you
the
go.
inhabitants. But I was just thinking when Ethan was in the bathroom, it made me think, oh crap, like, where is the waste going
Yep.
in this place when they use the plumbing?
Yeah.
Because we
It's
know
got-
the
yeah.
electric cords don't go anywhere.
Magic!
Where's all the
Magic!
It's
I think
gotta
that's why
be
the monsters are mad
septic.
at them. I think the monsters are mad at them because there's a waste treatment facility. They have to take turns doing
Hey,
shifts at.
Fatima, you do not want to open that trap door.
Oh my god.
Exactly.
Oh my god. That's
It's just the
yeah.
sewer system.
That is a
Yeah.
valid point. It is interesting that they haven't addressed that. I think it might just be because they don't want
Because
to.
he just went to the bathroom so casually, and I hadn't seen that on the show before. I was like, oh well, I'm just gonna go to the bathroom, like it's normal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, they're just, I mean, unlimited water, like,
Yep.
okay.
Yep. It's clean. The sewage just goes. There's
Yeah.
never any plumbing problems.
You know what? Let's just keep going with that. I know they're not getting their biannual furnace maintenance.
Well, don't run on no power.
There's not a carbon monoxide detector in that whole
No.
place.
You know what? Have they had one episode where they cleaned the gutter?
I haven't seen any. No.
Yeah.
No.
Mhm. Replacing batteries and those fire alarms, fire detectors.
No, there's no batteries. You just open it up. They're all just running on whatever magic power. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, when she was like, this drafty old box, and I was like, is it drafty? Because the women are always walking around in like camisoles. Surely it should be drafty. Yeah. It's like, nah, I live in an old house. Put a sweatshirt on.
Yeah.
Eh,
Oh, you gotta love it.
yeah.
But we'll just
Right.
assume that somebody there knows how to maintain septic systems.
Yeah, there you go.
Deleted scene.
Hope it wasn't Tilly. She did.
Oh god. Yeah.
Is anybody gonna find out? Does anybody care anymore?
No.
They've moved
They
on.
moved
They do
on.
not
Nobody's
care.
even worried about that.
It just makes me wonder, like, why kill Tilly then? If they were just gonna move on, why not have it be a red shirt?
You know
Like,
what? I
why-
had this crackpot thought to
Maybe she
watching
wrote it off
this
the show.
episode that she's gonna show back up.
Listen. Tilly's a mole until proven
Yes.
otherwise. Like,
Yes.
She's
Yes.
a dead mole.
I briefly,
We'll
I
see.
briefly
Mhm.
allowed you to convince me that now that she's dead, that means she's not a mole. But I don't believe it, and I don't believe she's dead, and I don't believe she's not
Yeah.
a mole.
Okay.
moles never die.
Well, you're planting your flag,
it's
you know.
so
That's
true.
a bold
I'm planting that flag.
proclamation, and I salute you if you're right.
Thank you.
I definitely don't think that, but I've been wrong before. So
You should salute my boldness, whether it's correct or not.
I do. I no, I'm sorry. If I suggested otherwise, I take it back.
Can I interrupt the bold saluting and also just throw out there? Why did Miranda take the kids with her?
Because it was dangerous. She had to go out at night. You know, she was like, you gotta stay in here and hide.
Because children are slow and inefficient and loud. So if you need to be stealthy and fast, you gotta go by yourself.
Yeah, okay. Oh, hey, I came for answers.
You got answers. You happy?
I got answers.
You got two different answers. You can pick which one you like.
Yeah.
Or both.
Do
Why
both.
not?
I want both. Buy
Take
one, get one
both.
free.
Yeah, exactly. Which one was the free
The
one?
only thing we're still gonna see is the fucking sister.
I know, right? Aren't they dancing around that sister issue?
I think they're dancing around, especially since Victor keeps forgetting he had a sister.
I
They just had a
finally
whole
forgot
memory
too.
flashback. Yeah.
She was in the flashback, but wasn't the focal point even a little bit. You just kind of see her a little bit, like in like a silhouette form. So,
Oh, maybe this'll. I think I know what they're gonna do. I think I know what they're gonna do. This is my bold prediction.
Let's hear
I'm
it.
ready to salute you.
Please be ready. I think now that Tabitha is getting visions about Miranda's final moments here, I think we're going to get another vision of Miranda's final moments, and it'll be Victor's sister showing up and finding her mother dead, and it'll be Victor's sister going through the tree.
Okay.
I hope so.
Okay.
I salute you, and I hope that you're correct.
I salute you
And
as
that,
well.
and then you know, Tabitha will be able to say, "I know what happened to your sister. She went through the tree," and then that'll be
I think
like,
he's gonna be like,
the
"What
end.
sister? Oh, right."
I forgot I had a sister. I was so mad at myself.
I've been I wanted so hard at the beginning of the season. I was so sure we were gonna get something about the sister.
Me too.
And it's been so long that I kind of forgot again.
Yeah.
Just like the writers.
We're all turning into
Just
Victor.
the writers.
All right, so next week, season finale, we're gonna see that ghost baby come out. Maybe it'll be cicadas. Maybe it'll just like her own skin peels off and she just emerges as a monster. Let's hope not.
You mentioned the cicadas and the baby together. Now I'm wondering, what if the baby somehow is able to like get whatever thing people individually have going on? What if the baby like somehow is able to stop all of it? So the Randall cicadas and the voices screaming.
It's just like she's pregnant with positive energy that's going to go out and heal everybody's psyche, except that positive energy was nurtured through eating blood.
Yeah, it eats bad vibes. And it's going to eat
it
all the
shits out
bad
good
vibes. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Who wants to change the diaper? Everyone?
Everybody wants to change that diaper. Yeah, good vibes in that diaper.
What if she births a crow?
Oh my god! Wow, we're getting crackpottier and crackpottier.
Well, that would be an exciting development.
Oh, she's gonna birth a tiny little baby in a white shirt and shorts.
Right. He's so cute.
Oh,
but he'll never help you.
Tickle his annoying ass chin. Oh my god.
All right. Well, lots to look forward to. We'll get very little, if anything, of answers. I think. I think this season moved a lot slower than I thought it would. I think going into it.
It started off like pretty rapidly paced, and so it definitely slowed down. And I thought it would have picked up by now. And it sort of has a little bit, but not nearly as much as I expected. So. I'm holding out hope that next week will sort of like save all this, but we'll see.
We will see.
I'll be here, we'll be here, and you'll be there. All right, so any final thoughts?
Well, thanks for having me again.
Thanks for being here. You know, you always contribute something I didn't expect. And
wow, I noticed that's neutral. That's a neutral statement.
In a good way. In a good way.
Take it however you want.
Come on, I'm shitting out positive vibes here. All right.
Eating the evil, shitting the good.
What are you, Fatima's baby?
What a reveal that would be.
Surprise, y'all. It's me.
You can catch me next time on your living room TV because I'm Fatima's baby.
No one saw that coming.
No one did. No one.
This whole time he's like, "Woo, what's the baby? What's the baby?" Knowing it's him the whole time.
You know, everything he raises his eyebrows in this mischievous, knowing way, but I guess I didn't put two and two together.
Yeah.
All right.
Just like a baby can't
just
do.
Like, hey. Look at that. All right, well, we've got another week to speculate what we might, and then all will be revealed. All answers.
Sure.
So I guess
All of
we'll
them. Bet on it.
see you next time.
Oh.
We'll see. Sorry. Just a little cicadas.
Sorry.
Cicada
It's
show.
a little problem. Yeah, so thank you for joining us, Claude. We'll see you next time, hopefully. And thanks for being here, me, as always.
Anytime.
And until next time.
Buzz,
Buzz, buzz, buzz.